It's a new event.
Dude.
It's a new event. Okay, welcome back, YouTube. Let's see if that's actually sending. It looks like it is.
He was completely offline. Our Discord call continued, but...
Right. We are back on YouTube. Hurrah. My home Wi-Fi went out for no good reason. Cybersmith, can you mute your mic when you're not talking, please? And we are now back. It's now a different stream. So here is the new stream link, chat. I'll put it in user content as well. It's remarkable how Discord can be so badly optimized, given what it's doing is so simple.
You'd think they would actually have it, at least somewhat competently done by now.
Well, the thing is,
how long it's been around.
One knows for sure that it can be done because Vesktop actually performs well.
Yeah.
Either way, there's the link, chat. Please, as I said before, try and hop on that so that it helps the algorithm. Anyway, we are back, and I think I'm just gonna go straight onto the next story. A hard sci-fi
Wait. Didn't you the Iraq stuff and Gilgamesh's tomb?
Well, we discussed that already. Why relitigate? Anyway, this is much more interesting.
Okay.
A hard sci-fi work is one where the technology don't contradict the laws of physics as we know it and is essential for the plot of the story. Behold, hard sci-fi, 50 Shades of Grey.
Fair enough.
I don't know what's in 50 Shades of Grey, but allegedly, this is how it's classified. Aidan, obviously you've read the book. You tell us.
No.
No need to act coy, Aidan. You already told us you like yandere girls.
No, but this is like horrible Twilight fan fiction, so no, of course I've not read it.
Yes, but you're a woman.
Well, what I know about it is that it's like most women's smut. It's just like aggressively sexual, constantly, and a dom romance story, and maybe not much emphasis on the romance even.
The fact that 50 Shades of Grey is so popular is one of the reasons I just refuse to be kink-shamed. No, if that's allowed to be mainstream, I'm not going to apologize for any of the stuff I whack off to.
They don't cut tendons in that show, in that book, though. But it is about rape, and I will say, Cybersmith, as far as I know, none of your sexual fantasies involve a lack of consent.
I think they I've not read it.
Silence.
Also, Cybersmith, your Discord is currently broadcasting constantly audio, even when you're not talking, and that messes up the on-stream overlay. Would you mind fixing that? You might need to change your sensitivity settings, because if you unmute, it'll just be constant green on, but it should only be green when you're actually talking. Okay, anyway. Yes, this is just a brief aside. But yeah, I've never read it and don't intend to. It's not for me anyway. Next up. Oh yeah, so this is back about our main story today. This user on Twitter says, it has come to our attention that someone said mean words in a private chat, which, hypothetically, might have hurt the feelings of others who weren't there if they had been listening. Our struggle to save Western civilization cannot come at an unacceptable cost, and saying mean words is where we draw the line. We would like to take this opportunity to utterly disavow mean words, our political allies, our cause, and the concept of winning itself. And we wish to extend our heartfelt apologies to the everyone who hates us and wants us and our children dead. In the future, we promise to let you define the terms and topic of every political argument. Please forgive us for occupying three-dimensional space, breathing oxygen, and being white.
Yeah. I mean, this came out, the same week as the J. Jones story?
I don't actually know anything about the J. Jones story. I've not heard of that.
Well, he just said that he wanted Republicans and their children to die.
Ah.
J. Jones is who I was talking about earlier. You saw the post I made.
That does make sense now. There's a couple of things in here.
He's running for the AG of Virginia.
Okay.
And,
Yeah, then he shouldn't. There's a couple of implicit narratives in here I would disagree with to some extent, but not really enough to bother going into. Either way,
the thing
it is ridiculous because, yes, I've noticed this too. This comes back to the question I would love to ask to an activist, haven't had a chance yet. What matters more to you, preventing racism or telling the truth? Whichever they say, it causes problems for them. If
Well,
they say
so
telling
they
the
can
truth is
tell you
more
the answer to
important, I'll
that.
say, well, then be racist. Be willing to be if it might be true. Oh, okay, then. And if preventing racism is more important, we'll say, well, then why should we trust anything you say? You'll lie to prevent it.
That's the thing. They would tell you that, oh, the truth is the most important thing to me, very likely saying that as a lie, because all they do is lie or pretend that they don't understand things. Yeah, again, that's been going on. We're a month and a half out from the assassination of Charlie Kirk, where we saw hundreds and thousands of people not just celebrate his assassination, the death of a young father with 2 little kids, but saw them unilaterally call for more deaths. Broadly speaking, no one in the Democrat Party denounced that. They made a couple a couple little platitudes, but there was no strong denouncement of that. There wasn't.
Yeah.
And when it came to the Jane Jones thing, same thing.
Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks being one of the only leftists who I think actually sincerely did denounce the killing of Charlie Kirk. But he was a massive outlier in that respect. Like I respect him for it, but it's notable how alone he was in doing that.
And they denigrated him for it, because of course they did.
Yeah.
So, and it's the same thing with the J. Jones thing. It was that clip that went viral the other day of, I don't remember the 2 women's names who were debating on this. And the Democrat woman absolutely, she just went silent and refused to respond to any questioning about J. Jones's messages, about wanting Republicans and their children to be slaughtered. They just, and in fact, she was smirking and smiling half the time while being asked the question. She couldn't even contain her joy at the thought of children being killed. Like, I don't know. There's just, who cares about some mean words at this point that no one was going to ever see had you not released them?
Is it Abigail Schreier, I think her name was?
Yes. I think that's right. Yeah.
Oy vey, what a name that is.
Well, have you not seen the clip of the black lady questioning her?
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, yes, I'm sure.
Yeah, whenever my internet drops, some of the Discord connected bots sometimes take a few minutes to reconnect, so I've just manually restarted them. They should be working. Let me do a little test. I'll type in the parry default trigger word. There we go. Yeah, it's working again. Let me know if one isn't working, chat. I didn't restart all of them, just the ones you're likely to use. Cybersmith, you're still doing it, man.
Oh, sorry.
All right. So, yes, we'll come back to the full detail of this later. We're just going through the memes for now. Just a few left. Gavin Newsom says Trump is about to steal nearly 20 more seats in Congress. He says the Supreme Court is poised to wipe away the Voting Rights Act of 1965 and eliminate representation for black and brown communities across our country.
Based. He's not stealing them. He's preventing them from being unfairly proportioned because of an absolutely ridiculous ruling that no one can seriously defend, and they've just spent the last 50 years hoping no one would mention.
Gerrymandering is one of the only ways left, that it seems, tentatively, that the Democrats have to rig elections. So get rid of it. I don't even care what you have to do. I don't care if you have to fucking draw Voronoi fucking ranges or whatever. Just change it so that it's more proportionate, so that you can't just draw these fucking wiggly regions to get yourself all the votes. Republican or Democrat, doesn't matter. Either side doing it. The Democrats probably doing it much more right now. I know the Republicans have done it as well. Just, end that. Doesn't matter. Grids are better than what they have now.
Yeah, like look at the New England region. It's about, you see the top right-hand corner-ish of the USA. About 40% of the people there are Republican. 0 Congress people from there are Republican. It is incredibly rigged. And what he's specifically referring to, I've looked into this, there was a ruling made. It's not actually in the Voting Rights Act. It's in a previous interpretation of the Voting Rights Act that said, basically, you have to create districts that are majority black in states where there is a significant black minority. And that is why there are Democrat states in the deep, deep South, because you have to draw out these absurdly crafted little enclaves where there are only black people. And that also is part of why black people are so solidly Democratic. It's because they have been sorted into their own block. For all intents and purposes. Get rid of that, and the electoral map swings massively. And you've also got existing redistricting, which Gavin Newsom is desperately trying to catch up to, but I don't think he will be able to. It looks like the Republicans will retain the House in 2030. That is what the numbers are starting to point towards.
Do you mean 2028? Oh, sorry, 2026.
Yes.
The midterms.
Yeah, yes, 2026, they will retain the House. And of course, then in 2030, when the census happens, the House swings even further towards them, and so does the Electoral College. And this, I think, is going to have a rather interesting effect, because American foreign policy, in economic terms, has kind of seesawed. You always go back and forth. And because, in some sense, every foreign actor knows that there won't be a consistent American policy, they can weather the storm of any kind of right-wing policy, knowing that a left-wing policy will come along and erase it. I genuinely think it's going to be a massive sea change when you could look at multiple straight decades of a right-wing foreign policy. I think that will change. That will also change Hollywood. It will change a lot of things if you can't just weather the storm of 8 years of Republican governments.
I do believe that when the will of the people are actually reflected, most of the time, you will get good leaders. It's just that hasn't been the case for the last few decades. And we've been in the kind of slump where even if it was accurate, you get a sort of duopoly effect where you don't get accurate representation. But right now, we are ready to break out of that again. We just need to fix some of the issues that have confounded the voting outcomes, like these redistricting exploits. And yeah, what you mentioned, I had heard something, and Ravlon mentioned as well, that it's not just aggressive redistricting, it's mandatory race-based redistricting, completely antithetical to the foundation of the US, or at least to policies that Democrats claim are foundational to the US.
Was it Ketanji Brown Jackson? Did you see her? Was it her? Or was it the other woman who basically said that it needs to be? It's the same thing as essentially the ADA, because blacks are equivalently disabled and can't get to polling stations. So you need to have this in place because they're disabled functionally, or they need the same treatments, under the law as people who are disabled.
I'll see if I can.
Crazy.
I think her arguments are so bad that it's going to very likely result in a 7-2 ruling against it. She made such a poor argument that I think it has tanked any hope of them bringing over any moderates and narrowly tying the issue, or getting like a 5-4 in their favor. I think she tanked their chances of winning on that issue because she made such a poor argument.
It wasn't just her. That has been sort of a consistent thing. Is just we need these special things that are propping us up, but just making the case with the ADA was ridiculous. It won't do anything, I think, to them trying to whinge about this. I mean, for example, they've not stopped blaming the Republicans for shutting down the government for 2.5 weeks, and they're still doing that, and their base entirely believes it. You're just preventing black people from being able to vote. It's basically fascism.
I mean, they could. There is a shade of an argument because the Republicans could eliminate the filibuster rule. I don't think they should do that, but it is technically true to say that if the Republicans were willing to erase almost 250 years of legislative precedent, they could just force the bill through. But that's such a huge step. I don't think they should do it. But there is a grain of truth to Democrats saying the Republicans could just make this happen, and they're not doing it because there is a slight benefit to them and that they get to cut certain programs they otherwise couldn't cut. So there's a grain of truth in it, but it is much more the Democrats' fault, I think.
Well, they're on their 9th resolution. The Democrats won't agree with it. I got to go to bed. I didn't even realize it was almost midnight. Oh, shit. Okay.
No worries.
All right. Good night,
Cheers.
Edith.
Bye-bye.
See you around. But if I may for a moment, let's presuppose that this is 100% correct and not at all a misrepresentation of what's actually happening, like Democrats always fucking do. Let's say they want to genuinely remove the Voting Rights Act. What is the net negative? I don't see it.
Well, I'm not sure exactly
why not go so far as to remove the Civil Rights Act as well?
I'm not sure exactly what the act does, but it sounds like it gives every adult, the right to vote. I don't know.
In principle, it was set up to prevent what was genuinely a slight problem at the time, which was you'd get groups of armed men who would functionally intimidate people out of voting. Now, it's not just the KKK. The KKK was one of them. The others were the Black Panthers. So there genuinely was an issue where violent impromptu militias predominantly the Black Panthers and the KKK, would intimidate people out of voting. The Voting Rights Act, in theory, was meant to shut that down. Now, neither of those groups meaningfully exist anymore. It exists to solve a problem that functionally isn't around anymore. So it has done more harm than good. The little good it does do applies to a problem that largely doesn't exist in the USA. I think there's a very good case to be made for getting rid of it or radically reinterpreting it.
Yeah, because it turns out voter intimidation was already illegal. Just fucking enforce your laws that you already have. You don't need to make up new ones that are even more tyrannical.
Yeah, that's true. But also, at this point, the KKK is a country club, and the Black Panthers, I think, have just been entirely absorbed by criminal syndicates like the Bloods and the Crips. Like, neither of these groups meaningfully exist anymore. Them too.
Yep. See, this is the thing. Like, we've known that introducing more laws is usually not a good thing to do unless you intend to abuse it. But not only that, these groups that cause this, or at least are used as the main excuse, are always funded by the left wing. Every fucking time.
Absolutely. Like, also, you see that less so now, but only because of Doge. Like, remember the main thing this is about, the published chat logs. That was published by Politico. That was one of the people that Doge, they found out that was one of the organizations that was getting taxpayer funding in the USA, was Politico. So before Doge came in and cut those transfers of money that nobody knew about of federal taxpayer money to groups like Politico, this would have been taxpayer funded. So yeah, it is literally the American people have been paying for anti-American propaganda. And I think Elon Musk's Doge has actually done a really good job in limiting that. Groups like Politico shouldn't be getting funding.
Damn right.
I have the full story for this a little later. Let's go through some of our other sort of preview stuff. I think I will reorganize this better next time so that I don't have any serious stuff in the preview section. Yes, this is a picture of the new right. As you can see, not a single one of them are completely white. Because this is not just quote-unquote the new right. No, this is the identitarian right. If the Great Replacement, this guy says, isn't real, then why are all the white nationalists DEI hires?
They're taking our jobs.
Says the Jewish man. I'm not sure that works either.
No, see, it is our job because we're the ones that are supposed to stir the pot. Now we can't do this because we've gotten caught in the crossfire of our own machinations.
I can't tell who's chewing who.
Legitimately, I think
the Jews are Jewing themselves, as always. This happens every goddamn time.
Speaking of Jewing each other,
they start doing this, thinking that it will never affect them, and then inevitably it does. They have never learned from the story of the golem.
I legitimately think some of this is the Democrats and the left broadly was able to maintain this coalition when the coalition was smaller. They have fundamentally, what's that Margaret Thatcher quote? The problem with socialism is that eventually you run out of other people's money.
Yeah.
Well, the problem with racist socialism is that eventually you run out of white people's money. There just isn't enough to redistribute anymore, which means inevitably some people aren't getting paid, and that means the incentive for them to defect is really high. So you're seeing rich, prominent, biracial men, to a large extent, they're some of the first people to get kicked off, so that's why a lot of them do it. So white-passing Hispanics, they're some of the first people to get kicked off the gravy train because there just isn't enough white people's money to go around. Kanye West isn't getting the benefit, Andrew Tate isn't getting the benefit, so the incentive for those people to actually take a step back, unbiased, with no political incentive or no financial incentive to stand with the left and say, okay, what do I actually believe in, is a lot higher. And I think that is why you are seeing this shift to the right. To some extent, if you're being paid by someone, you will always have a degree of sympathy for them. The left can't afford to pay every member of its coalition anymore. It ran out of white people's money.
I think that that's generally true. But yeah, this point before us is it's been true for a while, and it is weird how little correlation there is, because there probably are some white nationalists who are white, who are prominent, but not very many. And it kind of goes along with the whole, like, okay, why are femboys so popular among white nationalists? Why is just homosexuality in general so popular among them? And I do wonder, and it might be a sort of a low T compensation reason, but I'm not sure.
I actually think it's very, very straightforward. What's one of the main... So we say white nationalists, we say right wing. You get classed as that if you are even slightly in favor of law and order. The left has abandoned law and order.
Well, people that even we would call that.
I have an alternative theory, and that is it is the new punk. It is counterculture, after all.
That's part of it, but also who's going to be the first people to be who are going to be vulnerable to violence? It's going to be effeminate, low testosterone men in violence-prone neighborhoods. So, like, if you're an effeminate gay black person, if you're a black femboy, you're going to be one of the first people targeted by violence. You need the police more than anyone. You need a law-abiding society more than anyone else does.
Probably
so you are, of course, going to be more sympathetic to the right wing. And that is actually a major factor. One of the most, when you do find right-wing black people in the USA, one of the very first things they'll say is, I'm right-wing because the left has completely abandoned wanting to lock up the people who shoot 9mm rounds off in my neighborhood every night. Like, I'm voting right-wing because they are the only people left who want to lock up the maniacs whose crossfire I could get caught in.
It's plausible. I don't know if that's it, but it's plausible. There was a contribution from Born Gamer. Thank you, Born Gamer. He says, amazed we got to news before hitting 5 hours, and let's see the Druid again. Technically, we haven't actually got to the news section yet. We're still in the memes section, but we have been discussing news in it because I organized them badly. Thank you for the contribution, though. That has boosted, not that one, that has boosted the Druid, as you can see now, to £32, ahead of no overlay, which is at 15. If someone wants to get rid of the Druid, they can contribute £17 to none, or 32 to something else. So there you go, chat. Here is the link if you'd like to. Contributions are essential to keep these streams and the community going. Thank you in advance. So, yes, I think we have dwelt upon this long enough. Let us move on. Indian men are taking courses from Indian men on pretending to be women online in order to scam money from Indian men. Speaking of who's doing who. So this guy says, my AI Instagram girl is bringing in $30,000 a month. Just reached 300,000. Most of her reels go viral. Nobody notices she's AI. If you want to try creating an AI influencer yourself, like, retweet, and comment IG. Follow me and we'll send to blah, blah, blah. It's quite possible that he's just linked some real woman's page that is not even his, and he's just going to try and scam some people once they message him. It's an Indian. Their scams can be multiple layers deep. And there's a bunch of people responding, all of them Indian.
What would your thoughts be on force feminizing large numbers of Indian men?
I don't have any thoughts on it.
They have a gender imbalance, I think, because of preferential.
There's no need. They have the grip strength of less than white women. It's basically there already.
That is true.
Yeah, that's the thing. So what would happen if we essentially took maybe 10% of the male population and made them into sissy males?
How could you possibly get through that many Indian sissies in your life? You do not need that many.
Well, not just me.
Eyes bigger than stomach, Cybersmith.
I don't know. Cybersmith, he seems like the kind of guy that we could deploy to India and conquer it within like the span of a few months.
There'll be not a single tendon left unsnipped in the entire country.
Genuinely, India has a terrible history of winning war. Like they've been conquered by far numerically smaller forces.
Yes.
The Mughals took them over. The East India Company took them over with like less than a tenth of the forces against them. It was really striking just how bad the Indians were at war.
A Greek colony in Afghanistan conquered a lot of northern India at one point.
I see.
After the collapse of
Cybersmith plates.
Alexander Empire.
Mavis says, all in favor of allowing Cybersmith to invade India, say aye. In fact, don't just say aye. Slay / support Cybersmith Indian Raj. There you go. Let's see how far we can get that. And if you get it to number 1, chat, I can't guarantee you'll get the Indian Raj, but it's the absolute closest that we can get. All right, that's climbing up the board. Cybersmith, you'll be pleased to know there's a lot of people supporting this idea. It's now in 33rd out of all possible topics. That was quick, wasn't it? There you go, chat. And if you want to push it even further up, you can type in /redeem to redeem some of your coins or to redeem some of your credit. You want to see how much credit you have, do /C. And if you want to add credit, I can give it to you. I can just grant it to you. And I can do that for lots of different reasons. If you make fan art, for example, I'll throw some at you. Or if you contribute via tip.oozloo.net or fund.oozloo.net, then I shall also throw some coins at you. All right, Cybersmith Indian Raj is now in 23rd. Let's see if this works, shall we? I haven't tested this. Let's see if she answers correctly. Hooray! She did!
It worked.
Hey! It worked!
Nice.
That's Cybersmith, in case you don't know, that is an AI running on my home GPU.
Oh, nice. I would. Well, as I said, I am totally out of money. I am literally. The economy is so bad. It's so fucking bad.
No worries.
I hate Keir Starmer. I try not to hate anyone, but I think I really do hate Keir Starmer.
So what you're saying, Cybersmith, is whilst Brits have an excuse not to contribute, Americans don't. That's interesting. I hadn't thought of it that way. I'm kidding. All right.
I am not joking about we would greet them as liberators. At this point, we would.
I don't think anyone would greet them as liberators if they invaded, but I would agree with tariffing Keir. Right. Next thing. So here's some pictures from apparently Series 3 of One Punch Man, which I've been waiting for a long time. I didn't realize it was out, actually. I think it's just beginning to air. I found out at the beginning, just before the stream. And apparently the animator is a former hentai director. So it might explain some of the angles. Again, Cybersmith, please go into voice and video and adjust your sensitivity so that you're not constantly broadcasting, and then unmute. Scarab says, sir, I believe that I have contracted mesothelioma from being in Cabal. I would like compensation for my illness, or else I have to get Kloptro to sue you. What is the premise of this meme? Am I missing a meme from yesterday? Luckily, Ghost, she doesn't even know my bank account information. In her current state, she has been instructed to so strongly resist making assumptions that she has started not even saying things she does know. That's really the last problem to solve with the current incarnation of Cabby. Elman says, the manga is better than anime at sexy angles, and the anime is barely better than the manga in the animation department. Interesting, because the first season was very good. Second season was not great. It was okay. I'm hoping the third season is good as well, because the first season was very good. He's been handling your Cabal brand asbestos, I see.
If your loved one has been exposed to asbestos, you may be entitled to financial compensation.
I see. We have
this is possibly a hot take, but I think people were too quick to abandon asbestos because it genuinely is one of the best flame retardant substances we have. I think you should have the choice. Are you willing to take the increased chance of mesothelioma, but a reduced chance of dying in a fire? I think that should be a choice each individual gets to make. It shouldn't be enforced by some central authority. You should get to make that choice.
I think I don't know this, but I suspect that modern fire retardant materials, you haven't fixed it, Cybersmith. Modern fire retardant materials might be better than asbestos and safe. I don't know that, though. But that is generally the arc of development.
Actually, I think even today we do not have anything that is better than asbestos.
Okay.
At least not that's affordable. Like maybe the substance that they use on the space shuttle to prevent it from burning up on re-entry, but that's not really widely affordable.
Ravelon says, third season has better art but worse animation. I'm really more asking about the story and the writing. I mean, I guess it's the same, isn't it? But like, series 1 had great story and great writing, and I liked it. And series 2 didn't. Maybe they decided to just condense less of it into one series to space it out more. But either way, it was worse. So I just want the first series storytelling. I don't care that much about the animation.
So this talk about asbestos does remind me. In Canada, here it is illegal to manufacture asbestos products and sell them to the public. However, you can manufacture them and sell them abroad. That is perfectly fine. So we actually sell a shitload of asbestos to China, which then often turn it into brake pads, which then get imported back here. And for some reason, that's fine.
Oh, good.
Okay, I've switched.
If you slow down too quickly, your car gives you mesothelioma.
I've switched on the
for instance,
automatic.
if you drive a Dodge Neon and its panel gaps are too large,
the automatic sensitivity
air rushing
is
in will
too far in the wrong direction, Cybersmith. I'm not, with greatest respect, this is not a tech tutorial stream. Please fix it so that it is correct. Don't use automatic, do it manually, and just put it in the right place so that you're not broadcasting all the time, but always broadcasting while you're speaking. It's honestly like a 5-second job. And you can test it yourself in the settings screen by clicking on Let's Check. Right. So yes, I suspect we'll watch this in Cabal at some point. Not specifically for these features, but these features will be in it. Probably when it's out, but maybe we'll watch along. But yeah, join Cabal if you want to. We do all kinds of stuff like that. We've been watching we've got several anime on the one run right now. Right.
I'm not a huge anime fan. Is this better?
Yes, so far.
Okie dokie.
All right, you'll like this story, both of you. Man stores AI-generated robot porn on his government computer, loses access to nuclear secrets.
Hello, based department. You're going to want to see this.
Abel, thank you for broadcasting your Discord noises.
Would you mind turning up the audience on our end?
It is already. It's already at the volume it's configured to be. I can turn it up a little bit, but the point is it ducks under us talking.
I'm having a slight bit of trouble hearing. Maybe I need to clean out my ears.
I could boost it, but then it would be too interfering. Either way, yeah, we were looking... Go on, Cybersmith.
I think this is probably fair because it's not just kink shaming. He's misusing official resources. Like if it was just, oh, we don't like you store this on your own computer, that's kink shaming and that's wrong. But he shouldn't be using a government computer for it. So I think this is technically reasonable. I'd maybe let him off with a warning, don't do it again. But this is reasonable in principle.
Shaming someone for their kinks is not always wrong. But that's not what this is. However,
yes, it is.
No, it's not. What I would argue is that despite the headline, the porn was not being generated on the computer, I suspect. There's no reason to think it was, especially given the number of images. Secondly, so that's a point against him being punished too strongly. But then also, it was on a very secure server, and he uploaded it to the central network of a government department. It wasn't just on his workstation. Cybersmith, could you fix your mic again, please? However, chat, you can see it lights up green. Chat, when you hear how much there was, perhaps you'll understand. This wasn't a couple dozen images, his own personal collection. A man who works for the people overseeing America's nuclear stockpile has lost his security clearance after he uploaded 187,000 pornographic images to a Department of Energy DOE network.
Okay, that should be better. I think I've got it working.
Nope, you're cutting out in the middle of your sentences. Cybersmith, what was happening was you were making non-vocal noises which were coming through the mic. You'd be careful to do that, and if you're going to do that, use push to talk or mute while you're not talking.
Okay.
8 Ball says he was so real for that. I mean, it's daring. I don't know why he thought he was going to get away with it, because that's not just your personal collection. I mean, chat, maybe that's wrong. Press 1 if you have a need of that many pornographic images. If less than that wouldn't be sufficient, 8-ball, first person to press 1. How did I know?
Figures.
Yeah.
But why to a government network?
What
What
I
is the
think,
utility of that?
what I
And
suspect
why
happened
at
there.
work?
Yeah. What I suspect happened there is I can't explain why he just thought that he needed them at work all the time in that many numbers, right? But the reason they were on the network probably, or at least the most simple answer, is that it's network storage for the company where each workstation has no storage. They have central network storage that everyone can access from their own PCs. And he just put it on the storage that he could see because it was in front of him. But it turns out that was the network. So it's not quite as bad as it's saying, or at least it might not be. That's the minimum we can assume. But it might have been more serious than that. I don't know. Maybe he was distributing them.
My not safe for work folder is about 10,000 files and nearly 6 gigabytes. So this guy is pretty intense. And that's a collection I've built up for years. Like I think the first image I ever masturbated to is still on there. I actually. It's reasonably safe.
We didn't need to know that, Cybersmith.
Yeah, like this has been. I've been doing this since I think I was 13. So this is an old collection.
You didn't need to tell us that either.
Oh, sorry.
Cybersmith is wanting to regale us with his vintage pornography.
Cybersmith, prepare to get kink shamed. Oh yeah, YouTube, the YouTube stream is still running. I'm sure they're fine with it. Hello, YouTube.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine. So
That's
yeah,
funnier this way.
Post your jerkmate stats.
Yeah. What's your jerkmate rank? Are you a grandmaster beta by any chance?
Here it is.
Oh no! What are you doing?
Put
it in cesspool.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, but it's not like super old. That's the oldest image. That's the oldest image in there, and I think if I check the time on
that just looks like you.
Yeah, that was 2013.
Is that just you?
No.
It looks like you if you shaved and got massive implants.
But yeah, that's an old image. I think I copied it from an old one. That's why it says 2013. But I've had that since I was like, yeah, that's well.
Why did you feel the need to show the internet publicly your first jack-off material?
Well, to prove that that's how long I've been building up the collection.
No one was challenging you to prove that. Cybersmith,
I was trying
admit it.
Sorry.
You wanted to show people. For some deeper reason, you wanted people to see what you whack it to.
I mean, I was just willing to take your word for it.
Yeah, I didn't care. I didn't care at all about what you whack it to, Simon Smith.
It's not a woman with
I was more trying to establish that 187,000 is actually quite a lot.
Yes, posting one image that just happens to be the first you ever whacked it to does nothing to demonstrate that, and we already agreed it was a lot. Stop rationalizing your decision, Cybersmith. It was a purely passion-based decision, probably because of a fucking exhibitionist fetish of yours. Admit it, man. You can be honest. Oh, no, he's busy typing, which of course he's broadcasting. Anyway.
Really? It's picking up the typing as well?
Yes, you can see what it's picking up because it lights up green. This weirdly hasn't been a problem much in the past, Cybersmith. I don't know if you've changed your configuration. Yeah, as Ghost says,
where I've got the mic. I'm just going to reposition where the mic is.
Yeah, if you can't control it, just use push to talk.
Sorry about
that. Let's move. But luckily, he hasn't masturbated since that first time with that first image chat. Anyway.
Oh no, I've masturbated many times.
Oh really? I wasn't joking. So here's a great study, chat. Apparently, when women start dating their manager, their income abruptly rises. But when women break up with their manager, their income sharply falls.
Are you sure we're not conflating causation with... are you sure we haven't got the correlation inverted? Maybe women who are earning more money are more likely to date their managers. Like, be careful we haven't flipped correlation around. Like, maybe these are both caused by the same thing. Like, age might be a factor.
The correlation with the specific timing of the relationship seems to suggest otherwise. You can see the ranges here. in these vertical lines, that's the dating period there, around which it increases. And then
I'd be very interested to see if that was maybe downstream of like hormone levels or age.
See, it's not impossible, Cybersmith, but I strongly suspect that is the smaller of the two directions. However, what we were talking about earlier, and on the surface, this seems like a very dumb study because it's basically confirming something that's almost true by definition. But we discussed it a bit before the stream, and I think the conclusion that at least I came to is that I can't remember who it was in chat that. I think it was Rhetoric actually that said this. I think it's a good point. It does at least show that it doesn't tend to increase your long-term earnings. It will tend to fall off along with the relationship. It's not a stepping stone. It's just a temporary boost because after the breakup, it tends to level out back to where it was before, which is actually quite interesting. The idea of women fucking their way to the top, some do for sure. But actually, I doubt the majority succeed using that method, which is, I think, even more tragic.
This is literally why monogamy exists. This is why we have marriage. This is the problem the institution of marriage was in part created to solve. Why must we uninvent the wheel every few hundred years? When will we learn our lesson as a species?
Well, we're in the process of sort of relearning that particular lesson at this point in cultural time, but it's still going to take a little while for everyone to get on board, I think. The sort of gender role tradition lesson.
It's not. I drop good takes a lot. I would say most of my takes, even by the standards of Cabal, are considered quite good. And I'd argue that the takes you think are bad are just takes you guys haven't caught up with yet.
Sabbath, you have good takes. Some of your takes, unfortunately, though partly good, are marred by what I consider absolute insanity. But I still welcome your input. So,
look, I'm just saying the milk really helped. 1 liter of milk, and boom, Cybersmith is ready to go. He's inverse lactose intolerant.
I'd like to again thank you for broadcasting your Discord alert sounds onto the stream.
Okay, is it maybe your settings? Because that's multiple people whose...
Nope. The idea that there could be multiple people who have bad audio setups is by no means far-fetched, I'm afraid to say. Ghost says, name one Cybersmith take where he was insane. You know what? Maybe you have a point. He's especially the notion of the tunnel to the Andromeda Galaxy.
That wasn't my notion. I didn't introduce that idea.
Do you think it might be real?
Well, we have seen some evidence for it, so...
That's the insane part, Cybersmith. That's why I said it. It's not saying that it has to be your original idea, but your take that it could be real is insane.
Why?
I mean, you know this, Cybersmith. Deep down, you know this. The images that we showed you were AI generated on the fly during the stream.
Yes, I know that, but that doesn't mean they're not true.
It does. It doesn't mean, in terms of philosophically, absolutely it doesn't. But in practice, it certainly does, yes. The tunnel isn't real.
Well, ancient people would read the entrails of birds to hear the voices of the divine.
They thought
Medieval people
but they weren't.
Would use cartomancy. They would see Platonic truth through tarot readings.
They thought they were, but they weren't.
Every generation has had its way of speaking to God. Maybe AI is our method of speaking to God. Maybe inside of the LLM is the method by which the 21st century man hears the voice of the divine.
Perhaps the true way to speak to God is by removing people's tendons.
Yes, these are means of generating some sort of information, but the information has no relation to reality unless you tell it to. The entrails, you can interpret information from their organization. The tarot cards, you can interpret information from their organization, but they bear no resemblance to reality. The only way they do is by the interpretation of the person saying them. If they have some reason to predict something, they can make up whatever bullshit they want from what they've generated. And with the AI, it's just more specific. You can tell it exactly what to form.
But that's just a new method of divination. We've had oracles, we've had runestones.
That's an assertion.
Why is it so incomprehensible to you that AI is how our generation, is how the man of the 21st century listens to the divine?
Because I don't believe in the divine.
Change over time because Dirac's large number hypothesis suggests that the laws of the universe will subtly change as the universe ages. And it just so happens that at this epoch, this yuga, if you will, the way we hear the divine, the way we interact with Platonic truth is through AI.
See, that is an assertion for which you have no evidence. It's an idea. If I were religious, perhaps I'd be open to it. I happen not to be, so I'm not even willing to entertain the divine, except in a purely philosophical, is it absolutely possible sense, maybe, but I don't think so.
I mean, I'm an agnostic. In some sense, I'm not convinced that there's a God, but I don't think it's fair to say that there isn't one.
I do. I will go to the extent of saying I know that none of the gods of the religions I'm familiar with are real. I know they're all made up.
I mean, demons are definitely real. The devil definitely
I disagree.
exists.
I disagree.
I mean, just look at the left.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic analogy, calling them demonic.
I don't think you can reasonably say that demons are not real and they don't walk among us. There's a lot of evidence for that.
Unfortunately, what you're seeing is evidence of bad people, not of demons.
Look at some of the videos of the homeless, like the way they move.
Well, as an analogy,
the way their
that's why it
eyes
makes
move.
sense.
Those are not humans. What is
why assume a human couldn't do that?
Is not of this earth.
Why assume a human couldn't do that?
The movements don't match human movements. They are being puppeteered by something that is not used to wearing
that's
flesh.
circular reasoning, Cybersmith. Humans are doing it. Why do you think they don't match human movements? Those are humans doing it. You're presupposing the possession.
Have you seen, for example, Destiny, the streamer Destiny? If you look very closely,
it's hard to see him because he's so small.
Yeah, but if you look at the way his jaw moves, there's a little hint. That's not the way a human would move a jaw.
This doesn't change the fundamental problem. This doesn't change the fundamental problem with your argument that you're presupposing the possession when if you don't do that, you don't need to add anything else. Some people are just like that because some people are different than others. Some people are psychopaths and so they look different. Like, I don't mind if you want to use the analogy of demons or you want to use demons basically to refer to psychopaths, but the supernatural dimension isn't real.
I disagree, and I've posted before about why I disagree. I think there is reason to believe that the common theory of evolution has actually gotten it backwards. The common theory of evolution is essentially we were bodies that evolved minds because minds gave us an evolutionary advantage. I think the opposite might be true. I think we started out as minds without bodies, and we evolved to become incarnated as essentially a way to escape predators on the ethereal plane. And we evolved inhibitions against entering the ethereal plane. Because what do drugs do? Drugs don't really enhance human abilities. They just switch off inhibitions. So why is it that people who take hallucinogenic drugs are able to enter the ethereal plane? It's not that the drugs are granting them new abilities. The drugs are just unsuppressing abilities that they always used to have. They're just switching off the inhibitions against entering the ethereal plane. And I think we evolved to embody ourselves because when a lot of people describe their taking drugs, taking hallucinogenics, venturing into the ethereal plane, and what they see there is frightening, terrifying. And schizophrenia is perhaps a kind of atavism. Maybe a schizophrenic person is just someone for whom a gene has mutated to switch off the natural inhibition. And they're not actually hallucinating, they're just accessing the ethereal plane, what Carl Jung called the collective unconscious.
Well, that's certainly a convenient belief for some, particularly those who are schizophrenic. But if you were to remove every unfounded assumption in that whole set of ideas that you just stated, you'd arrive at something pretty close to what everyone already believes, or most people, or I even already believe. It's the unfounded assumptions I have an issue with. Now, it's a nice story. It's a collection of ideas which, in a philosophically absolute sense, conceivably could be true, though I put it to you that they are certainly not.
Here is the evidence.
But there's no reason to believe it's true.
There is.
There are other compatible explanations for the evidence you're about to present.
Who've never met who have hallucinated the same thing. The only possible explanation is that they're actually accessing the same shared collective unconscious, a kind of universal mental field that underlies material reality.
Why do you think that's the only explanation? You haven't given it even a moment's thought that there could be a mundane reason because you don't like the mundane reason. It's not as cool. The mundane explanation is communication exists and humans are all related. We have somewhat similar brains.
You're talking about like genetic memory.
Not genetic memory, just tendencies passed down genetically, like the tendency to go silent when there's a bird overhead. That's not genetic memory, that's just a built-in tendency, inherent to the structure of the brain, that all humans tend to get, almost all humans do get. That kind of thing. And the idea of dragons as well is very easy to explain. Lizards are the main biological group that opposes mammals. They're some of our biggest enemies. It's no wonder that all humans have an image of them as a great evil. These things are, if these things can conceivably be explained by mundane factors, that is almost always the most likely answer. If you need to include supernatural stuff, you're welcome to theorize about supernatural stuff. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but it's not actually the rational answer. It's never the most likely until you have some direct evidence of the supernatural elements themselves. And we have no evidence that has ever been verified of anything supernatural, which is somewhat self-definitional, but most people know what you mean by that.
It depends on what you consider to be supernatural. Are you familiar with Dianetics, written about by L. Ron Hubbard?
I've heard of it.
That minds predated matter, that matter is a construct created by minds, or fiends, as he calls them.
I believe that's generally called solipsism.
But there's evidence for it. How else do you explain the superhuman things that Tom Cruise can do?
Cybersmith, I need to sit you down and explain to you what evidence means at some point. That is not evidence. In fact, it's not even real. He cannot do supernatural things.
He's a 60-year-old midget, and he is pulling off physical feats that 6-foot men in their prime couldn't dream of.
That's not supernatural. That's good genetics and good practice, good training, good experience, good determination. All mundane stuff. That could all explain it.
As he describes it as having a high operating pain level.
Someone being physically fit as an older man is not in any way evidence of philosophical solipsism. It's completely disconnected. You've got infinite steps to make between the two.
But simply by connecting to the ethereal plane and purging himself of these negative memories collected from past lives, he has been able to enhance the physical abilities of his body. This suggests that the physical abilities of the body, and that is to say the properties of matter, are downstream of the mind, that the body, and indeed all matter, is a creation of the mind.
You have presupposed your own conclusion. I don't need to hear the rest of it. I know it's wrong from that point onwards. How do you get from things that we can observe and agree upon to supernatural things exist? However you choose to define supernatural, as long as it's a sensible definition.
Well, that's the thing. It's only supernatural if you assume that matter exists on its own and came first, and the supernatural or the ethereal is kind of added on top of that. But if we assume that the ethereal came first and that matter is just a creation of it, then it doesn't really make sense to describe these things Tom Cruise is doing as supernatural. These are simply things that everyone else has forgotten how to do.
Okay, this is what I meant when I said any reasonable definition of supernatural. What you've done there is you've defined nature as supernatural and then said, well, they're supernatural. No, that is an aggressively unreasonable definition of supernatural that you have moved things around to get to. You have dodged my challenge, Cybersmith, by attempting to redefine your way out of it. Now, I'm not even saying that what you've said there is not possible in some philosophical sense. I tell you it is not real, but I'm not saying it's impossible, just that it doesn't go anywhere near my question of can you get to supernatural from the mundane? Again, we can define supernatural any way you want, but the colloquial comprehension of it as anything beyond what science can assess, what science can measure, or what science has measured, let's at least say that, publicly, Anything like
Why
ghosts, anything like
public?
souls or spirits, anything like that, or gods, or anything like that. The things that are generally understood to be supernatural. Do you have any way of getting to those from common ground that we both agree
on? Yes. For example, diving to that submarine at the bottom of the Arctic Sea. You and I couldn't do that, and we're both big men in our early 30s or late 20s. How is Tom Cruise, who is twice our age and a tiny little midget, able to do that?
Because he has very good genetics, good experience, determination, and probably a lot of money. He does seem to have, from what I've observed, remarkably good genetics. He seems remarkably driven for a man of his age. It's all good stuff. There are some attributes that you and I have that he lacks. I don't think he's very good at programming. Both of us are. So it's not that he's super. He doesn't have to be supernatural for that to be true. It's well within the bounds of mundanity. In fact, by self-definition, you can see that there before you is a human that can do those things. You're presupposing that supernatural elements need to be there to explain it, but there's no reason to, because you can see that a normal human can do those things.
How are you defining supernatural? Would you say that the shared mental field, what Carl Jung calls the collective unconscious, are you calling that supernatural?
It depends exactly what that means. If it's an abstraction on mundane thoughts shared by communication, by physical means, then yeah, you can use it as an abstraction. If we're talking about something essentially magical, something that goes beyond observable communication, then no, it's not real. I've never seen any evidence of communication that can happen that's not physically observable, that there's some sort of telepathic.
I don't think it's intrinsically magical. Pathfinder, a lot of the ways of accessing it in Pathfinder are occult, but it's not intrinsically magical. But
Pathfinder isn't real either. It doesn't apply to reality. It applies only to games of Pathfinder. We're back onto this, I think. Should we move on to the next topic? Because we still have a few things to cover from our title for today's stream.
Okay, yes. Oh, sorry, yes, I don't want to interrupt.
No, it's all right. Don't...
maybe half an hour to an hour. I don't want to stay up too late. Yes.
It's all right. It's always an interesting conversation with you, Cybersmith, but we had rooted back to something we've already discussed at length. So we'll move on for now, but I'm sure we'll find something else to talk about. Yeah. So last meme of the day, this guy says, last time I had sex, it felt like the 100-meter Olympic final. Really? Over in 10 seconds? Poor thing. Nah. 8 black men and a gun. Don't find yourself in this situation, chat, even if Cybersmith would like to.
Sensible chuckle.
All right, that's it for the memes today. Let's have a look at some of the news stories. We're gonna go into the main one, which actually I think it was in here. My mistake for putting it in there. Okay, here we go. So, okay, here's the story from Politico. I love Hitler, it says. Leaked messages expose young Republicans' racist chat.
Yep, I've made my position very clear on that. Unless and until Jay Jones drops out of the running, don't even consider punishing anyone for this. We can have a discussion about what the standards for civility can be, but they're going to have to be universal standards. Do not, under any circumstances, unilaterally disarm. So yeah, my position on that is very, very good. As long as Jay Jones is either running for the Attorney General role or actually serving as Attorney General, no one in this chat should face any consequences. That's my position on it, and I'm sticking to it.
Yes.
Maybe you think that's another crazy take, but I'm firm.
No,
I'm
actually, I agree with you on that one. I think completely. But let's go into the detail, because there could be more devil there. Thousands of private messages reveal young GOP leaders joking about gas chambers, slavery, and rape. We would never, chat. Press 1 if you would never. Like this in the context of the.
I would never, but I also wouldn't want people punished for it.
Indeed.
Not unless the left is going to do the same.
Indeed.
How dare people have fun making jokes about things?
Yeah. See, I strongly believe that there should be no limits to offensive humor, especially in an environment where all participants implicitly agree to it. There is no problem with this. But the left wants to induce an atmosphere of, well, put it simply, wrongthink. that there are certain kinds of ideas that make someone a enemy of the people, that make someone blackened, essentially a Satanist if it were a Christian moral panic. Leaders of young Republican groups throughout the country worried what would happen if their Telegram chat ever got leaked, but they kept typing anyway. They referred to black people as monkeys and the watermelon people. Rather tame, to be honest, and mused about putting their political opponents in gas chambers. They talked about raping their enemies and driving them to suicide, and lauded Republicans who they believed supported slavery. From what I've heard, that's not true. That's all a misrepresentation of what they said.
Base.
But even if so, I don't care. Like, if they were actually planning to do this credibly, yeah, that's a problem. That's a crime and it's a conspiracy to commit it. If it's violent, yeah, that's a matter for the police, not for the press, but for the police. If they're joking, fuck off, leave them alone. Yeah, someone says this is Little League shit. This is basic. Come to Cabal. Actually, you guys have just qualified for Cabal. Welcome. You can now enter the max level. Maybe it's wrong to say max level, but there's no limit, so it's fine. Yes, he calls Jojo Floyd. Fantastic meme that everyone should be exposed to. Just imagine sitting them down, the people that wrote this article, sit them down with the Clockwork Orange style, with the eyes prized open, facing the screen, forced to watch nothing but a 24/7 loop of Jojo Floyd. Chat, press 1 if it would salve the world to force that. And Cybersmith, could you salve the world by using push to talk? Because you can't do it otherwise.
Oh, sorry.
There you go. Thank you for the demonstration. William Hendricks, the Kansas Young Republicans vice chair, used the words nigger and nigger, variations of a racial slur, more than a dozen times in the chat. Do you know what I see when it's... I'm just going to mute him for now. Cybersmith, let me know when you have fixed it and I'll unmute you. When someone is typing nigger and nigger like that, do you know what that is to me, chat? Cowardice. Weakness. Intend your hard arse, damn it. Just ping me when you're ready, Cybersmith. Bobby Walker, the vice chair of the New York State Young Republicans at the time, referred to rape as epic. I want to see the context because I don't fucking believe you. But either way, it's funny anyway.
Hello, based department?
Mm-hmm. Peter Giunter, who at the time was chair of the same organization, wrote in a message sent in June that everyone that votes no is going to the gas chamber. Again, did he mean that the Democrats will send them there, and was he using it as an abstraction? I don't believe you. You're framing Politico. Let's at least go and have a look at the details. I have unmuted Cybersmith.
So let's suppose that, again, all of this is 100% accurate, right? How is this any worse than the things leftists openly joke about and say to people on the regular?
Remember...
"Quote unquote," leftist humor is them threatening school shootings and violence against normal people for no good reason.
Remember all the things they posted about Luigi Mangione? They're still making those jokes, and he killed a man.
He did.
Absolutely, do not disarm for this. Absolutely, do not disarm. Also, Usually, I think I just moved the microphone too close to my face. It's further away now. I think that should solve it.
Well, we got lots more room noise.
This is further proof that leftists have no concept of empathy. They cannot comprehend it, because even when they are in the same situation of having their personal messages exposed for far worse things that they've said, they will cry and screech about being oppressed.
The loud ones on the left. The loud ones on the left are those that need help compartmentalizing, and the press are right there to provide it, only expressing one side of the story. It's not perpetual. That the left doesn't have to be like this, but it sure has been for quite a while. Right now the left are basically run 100% by psychopaths, even if they're not populated 100% by psychopaths. They're all in that mindset.
They're psychopathic crybullies.
Pretty much.
And enablers thereof.
Indeed.
I don't know if Barack Obama would personally celebrate if he saw right-wing people getting shot, but his memoirs were ghostwritten by Bill Ayers, and he was personally tutored by Saul Alinsky. He was absolutely comfortable rubbing shoulders with people who were 1,000 times worse than anything in this group chat. As in, they personally engaged in acts of violence that left people dead. Yep. You've got leftists defending like that woman who provided a shotgun that blew a judge's head off. And they celebrated her for years.
Didn't Obama directly order the killing of multiple civilians during his reign?
He did. Well, yeah. I'm not sure if he ordered the killing of civilians. He might have done. But killing
he posthumously declared them as terrorists.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure about
killing a terrorist's son, I think, or he authorized hits where he knew there were going to be civilians in the area.
That's what I mean. I don't think, despite how bad he was by many people's accounts, I don't think he flagrantly genocided civilians, but I think he allowed them flagrantly to be collateral damage. As Ghost said, he ordered a US citizen killed. Yes, I did hear about that. Okay, perhaps I'm mistaken. Perhaps I am giving him too much credit.
He bombed a Doctors Without Borders hospital. The man has... The fact that he got a Nobel Peace Prize is an absolute shocking goddamn disgrace. It is a farce, and I am trying not to use stronger language here. It is an absolute farce that he received a Nobel Peace Prize and then went on to do that. It discredits the Nobel organization entirely. Yeah, exactly. Cardinal Thomas. He got a Nobel Peace Prize before he did. At least with Kissinger, they waited until the end of Kissinger's career. It is outrageous how much the left, I think the term is carried water for Barack Hussein Obama, the degree to which they covered up his atrocities. And they had the gall when he left office to say he was a scandal-free president. The fact that Obama could reasonably be described as a scandal-free president is an indictment of the US media. The fact that a man can blow up a hospital and be described as scandal-free is in and of itself evidence that every single journalist in the USA should hang their heads in shame.
Some would have ended that sentence differently after the word hang. But yeah, they're not great, are they, journos? I'm with you on that. Let's continue. Giunta was referring to an upcoming vote on whether he should become chair of the Young Republican National Federation, the GOP's 15,000-member political organization for Republicans between 18 and 40 years old. Quote, I'm going to create some of the greatest physiological torture methods known to man. We only want true believers, he continued. Two members of the chat responded. So let's see, this is the actual group chat here. The messages are as follows, quote, everyone that votes no is going to the gas chamber, and everyone that endorsed but then votes for us is going to the gas chamber. So I want to see context from before that, Politico. I want to know whether this was in a joking context, because that sounds like a gross exaggeration. I mean, do you even think he means it seriously? Or do you acknowledge that he's joking, Politico? Because if you acknowledge he's joking, then I no longer care. It says, when do we start bullying, dude? And then we have a solid 3 people who can have them want to jump. Okay? They're going on quite a lot about it. I mean, I wonder if they do intend any intimidation. If they vote for us, why would they be gassed? When do we bring that side out? I'm not sure what they mean by that, actually. I'm going to create some of the greatest physiological torture measures known to man. Reply to from us. Why would they be gassed? We only want true believers. Can we fix the showers? Gas chambers don't fit the Hitler aesthetic. Don't they? What? It's the opposite. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, I was giving them a lot of credit, but this isn't even entertaining. They're not even good at making jokes, as far as I can see. So I think they are joking, but I don't get it. He says, I'm ready to watch people burn now. We're going to pretend that we like them. Hey, come on in, take a nice shower and relax. Boom, they're dead. So I think they're just joking around. They're being macabre, but they're not very good at it.
Than this if you browse Blue Sky for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, probably.
Like genuinely, this barely even gets the scandal me to go, yes, I don't think people should talk like that. I think it is indicative of a mean-spirited mindset. I don't think it's good for the soul to think and speak this way. But no, none of these people should face consequences while Jay Jones is still running. Absolutely not. Do not unilaterally disarm.
This is what happens when normies attempt to be edgy and do not comprehend the subjects that they are trying to be edgy about.
You might be onto something there.
The normies ruin everything they touch, including being edgy.
There we go. Normie edgy gatekeeping. That's what we need.
Exactly. We got to gatekeep everything because those who complain about gatekeeping are those the gates are meant to keep out.
Yeah. I love how he's called Joe Malino. I think Malino just means evil, doesn't it? Malign is just bad alignment. Joe Malino, who previously identified himself as the general counsel for the New York State Young Republicans, wrote back, quote, "I'm ready to watch people burn now." Annie, they're going after the women as well. Annie K. Katie, are these people real? Did you make this up? Are these people fucking real? New York's National Committee member said, the exchange is part of a trove of Telegram chats obtained by Politico and published despite the fact that it was offending no one before, and now it's offending many people because you published it. You published it, Politico, no one else. Simon Smith still hasn't fixed his mic, and I told him to put push to talk on, but he hasn't.
Oh, shit, sorry, I thought it was... Jimmy, I have no idea why this is suddenly...
Okay. No meme disarmament. Denounce normies. Normies are pretty close to the bottom of the board, actually. Common sense
they should
control.
be. They should know their place.
Let's have a look at how close they are, actually. They're about 20 points away from the lowest on the board. Note that Womon is still in first place. I mean, that's fine. I think Womon is quite happy to Womon, you're winning, mate. You're in the first place.
Yeah, look how popular you are.
Yeah. You're more popular than Falco. Actually, it is impressive that you're more popular than the banning of Falco. I will give you that.
I made this point to my girlfriend the other day. I do think we need more compassion in politics. We need to think of people as potential friends rather than enemies.
Sure,
but that has to be something that is done across the political spectrum. It cannot be something that the right is required to take the lead on. Pug, she's so it's a long distance relationship. She contacted me from Canada. We're attempting it. I've never been in a relationship of this kind before, but we're going to make a try, and hopefully next year we'll get to meet in person. But yeah, we're making a try of it. She's a bit of a fixer-upper, but then I'm a bit of a fixer-upper, and hopefully we'll fix each other up together.
Cybersmith, I hate to ask this, but given your proclivities for believing things without good enough evidence, do you know that she is a real person and actually female?
Yes. Okay. Well, I know she's a real person. Define actually female.
Oh my god.
Biological woman.
A biological woman.
Well, no one's perfect.
Okay. So I think we've discussed this before as well. Your femboy Canadian long distance relationship boyfriend. Okay, well, Cybersmith, in Cabal, I recommend, though say what you want, I recommend you don't refer to this femboy as your girlfriend, because that is, in my opinion, and in the opinion of most in the server, highly inaccurate.
I'm not planning to talk about her much, but she's a nice person. But as I said, this is just, I only brought her up. I am not. The plan is that she'll be the one sucking my cock when we meet up in person. But anyway.
Cybersmith, I want you to understand that it's only acceptable if you follow it up with, in brackets, male.
Yes, your male girlfriend, yeah.
Not planning to discuss her very much. It's just, as I said, it came up. I do think we need a more compassion-based politics, but that can't be wholly incumbent upon the right. Like, the left absolutely needs to make the effort as well. And until they are, do not budge an inch. I think J.D. Vance had the exact right attitude to this. He said, I am not going to go after a bunch of daft young men joking about in the equivalent of a digital locker room, the digital equivalent of a locker room, while Jay Jones is running for Attorney General. That's complete nonsense, and I refuse to even discuss it. I think he had the exact right attitude. Do not even contemplate discussing heightened standards for civility across society while the left is running Jay Jones, because that is unilateral disarmament.
Yes. Cybersmith, I agree with your point. You've made it several times. Let's continue.
It bears repeating, I think.
Possibly. Okay, why are you all voting for 24 character limit? That was a test. I don't think it was me either. Okay, okay, now it's going to get into first place. Since Politico began making inquiries, one member of the group, actually we're not there yet, spanning the more than 7 months of messages among young Republican leaders in New York, Kansas, Arizona, and Vermont, the chat offers an unfiltered look at how a new generation of GOP activists talk when they think no one is listening. Yeah, in such a way that the people they do think are listening wouldn't mind. It's called consent, Politico. Oh, is there someone you forgot to ask for their consent who snuck in to the group chat? No, what's more likely is that someone in there got jilted by someone else in there and thought, how can I punish these? Probably a woman. And thought, not Cybersmith's girlfriend kind of woman, the other kind of woman. And thought, how can I punish these people? How can I get back at them? I know, I'll tell the press all their offensive jokes. Odds are that's what happened. Politico did not, I suspect, though I don't know, it's not impossible they did, I suspect did not slyly infiltrate this group. I suspect it was leaked to them by someone jilted.
And I don't wish to again repeat myself. Apparently someone was blackmailed into doing it. That's what I'm hearing. But again, I don't want to repeat myself. Politico was one of the groups that was receiving US government, federal government subsidies that Doge shut down. Like, keep in mind, if you are in the USA and you've paid taxes at any time before, like, I think February of this year, you funded this. You are paying for the anti-American propaganda that targets you. And that only stopped because of Elon Musk and Doge. Like, I know I'm repeating myself. I mentioned that earlier. I thought it bears bringing that up again. Politico was one of the organizations that was found to be secretly receiving US government money filtered through several intermediary NGOs.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of a break in saying that that people are therefore responsible because they pay taxes, because the taxes are essentially mandatory. But no, there's definitely some truth to your point.
You should be outraged that your money was taken to fund propaganda against you. You should be outraged at Joe Biden and Barack Obama and George W. Bush and Bill Clinton and everyone before Donald Trump who didn't do anything about this.
Yep, in that case, I agree. Let's continue. Since Politico began making inquiries, one member of the group chat is no longer employed at their job and making inquiries, and another's job offer was rescinded. Prominent New York Republicans, including Representative Elise Stefanik and State Senate Minority Leader Rob Ortt, have denounced the chat. There are the collaborators, but as far as I know, I haven't heard of Rob Ortt, but I think Elise Stefanik, I can't remember actually. Is she Rhino? Is she on the Rhino end? I'm guessing she is. And festering resentments among young Republicans have now turned into public recriminations, including allegations of character assassination and extortion. Well, if there are allegations of extortion, Politico, I assume you have extorted someone. So trying to take away their jobs for what they've said here, not very free speech spirited of you, is it, Politico? But notably, the rescinding of those jobs is not necessary in the same way that it's not natural, shall we say, in the same way that people who called for the death of Charlie Kirk is. The morality in that case is, do we like innocent people being murdered? And people rescinding jobs on that basis, that is a judge of character that extends to pretty much everything that they would be expected to do in any job. However, making some offensive jokes which the left doesn't like is not a natural reason to think they'd be bad in any job. The reason these job offers were rescinded and the employment was terminated, I put it to you with a pretty significant likelihood, is the fear of being defamed by Politico, who here say that they contacted these groups, the employers. So once again, it is the press as the vanguard of our problems.
Once again. Ghost you can never hate journos enough.
Indeed. Ghost says, Stefanki is pretending to be Marga. It sounds like it. It sure sounds like it, doesn't it?
I'm gonna head off in about 9 minutes just because I don't want to say it. But I do think what they're talking about going after the funding of groups like Antifa is one thing. I think that's positive. I think you need to look at where do these journalistic organizations, where do they get their funding from? Because what's good for the goose is good for the gander. I'm not saying you put them in prison, but they're not saying they want to put these people who are in the Chechen prison. They're saying they want to cut them off from funding and platforming.
Yeah.
Okay, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. I'm not saying you escalate. I'm saying meet like force with like force. Take people out of their jobs. Take people out of their roles and their positions of authority if they've participated in this. Say, no, this is not how we want society to work. We don't want this snide, backroom dealing, blackmailing, defaming system of interaction with other humans to be the way public discourse is mediated. We don't think that's good for society, and we want to prevent it from being funded, and we have a legitimate interest in doing so.
Unfortunately, by legal standards, I don't think there's much that you could do here. You may be able to say defamation. The way that they've worded it is obviously implying one perspective, and them contacting employers to try and get them to fire people. You could maybe argue that's extortion, but it's a pretty, unfortunately, subjective thing.
There's not very much that say
what I'm saying.
Bonding.
What I'm saying is, if we're talking about, we have power through the US government, what can we do with that power? I don't think there's much you can do about this in particular. There's other stories perhaps where you can, but this in particular, hard to say.
You also have power through a lot of very, very major industrialists. You have power through people like Peter Thiel. You have power through people like Elon Musk. You can look at all of the organizations that do business with Politico. For example, Politico,
I wonder how much it would cost for Elon to just buy the entire corporate press and then disband them.
But also, Politico, where does it host
CIA would never allow that.
Politico has online servers that it has to host somewhere. Where is it hiring them from? Elon Musk could look at the companies providing those servers and say, maybe I don't want to do business with you. Jeff Bezos, I believe, is looking to make deals with Donald Trump. You can exert influence that way. It's not just the American government. You have American industry. That is an avenue of influence that you can apply, and you would be applying the exact same kind of influence here, which is economic and social pressure, which is what they're trying to bring to bear. And I think you could do the exact same thing to groups like Politico. You could say, maybe we don't want to do business with anyone who provides Politico with web servers. Maybe we don't want to do business with anyone who provides Politico data centers with electricity. Maybe we don't want to do economic business with them. Like, tit for tat in that sense. Freeze them out of the economy. Deny them access. It's not just the government. The right wing in the USA has tremendous influence through major for-profit corporations. They have the captains of industry. That is an avenue through which to apply pressure.
I would agree with that. Okay, so we'll continue. It says here, a liberating atmosphere. The 2,900 pages of chats shared among a dozen millennial and Gen Z Republicans between early January and mid-August chronicle their campaign to seize control of the National Young Republican Organization on a hardline pro-Donald Trump platform. Let's face it, young Republicans are already hardline pro-Donald Trump. Many of the chat members already work inside government or party politics, and one serves as a state senator. Good. Together, the messages reveal a culture where racist, anti-Semitic, and violent rhetoric circulate freely, and where the Trump-era loosening of political norms, that's one way of putting it, has made such talk feel less taboo among those positioning themselves as the party's next leaders. Good. Thank you. Thank you. If Trump has had any part of that, good. Quote, the more the political atmosphere is open and liberating, like it has been with the emergence of Trump and a more right-wing GOP even before him, not sure about that, it opens up young people and older people to telling racist jokes, making racist commentaries in private and public. Good. Yes, that is an advocacy. There are more important things than preventing racism. The truth, for example. And once again, I would like someone on the left to tell me what is more important, preventing racism or telling the truth. Either way, your answer is revealing. Where they conflict, because they'll say it's the same thing. Racism is never true. You say, okay, what if they did conflict? Yeah, that's probably where they'd go. That's the only avenue they have there. You say, okay, what if you find something that is racist and true? What if you find that race and IQ is actually genetic? What if you found that? They wouldn't have an answer to that. They would try to avoid it. Certainly could argue.
Well, the guy who sequenced the human genome was stripped of his Nobel Prize for saying that. I think he'd know a thing or two about it.
Well, while that is an appeal to authority, I suggest his research is probably sound, though I don't know for sure. Texas A&M sociology professor who has studied racism. Imagine studying racism for 60 years. I mean, like on the wrong side of it as well. He's also concerned the words would be applied to public policy. Quote, it's chilling, of course, because they will act on these views. They're not necessarily views, mate. Besides which, even if they did act on those views, don't ask the racist, the professor of racism this. Even if they acted on them, how can you guarantee it would make a worse country? You haven't done the extra work there to assess that. The dynamic of easy racism and casual cruelty played out in often dark, vivid fashion inside the chats, where campaign talk and party gossip blurred onto the streams of slurs and violent fantasies. Casual cruelty. There was no cruelty involved at any point that we can yet confirm in these chats. There was talk of hypothetical cruelty. We don't know they did anything. It could have all been jokes, though it wasn't exactly clear from the way it was worded, probably because the context was conveniently left out by Politico. There was no actual violence. This is what I've been saying for years. The internet's the safest place in the world, by far. Now, people can access you on the internet and can make you go to the real world and get hurt. That's where all the concern about kids talking to strangers on the internet comes from, is that they could meet up in person. But guess what? That's the physical world. That's where it's dangerous. It's not dangerous online.
I'm going to be heading off in just a minute, Uzlu, but I do want to point out one exception to that. What about sissy hypno porn? Like, a lot of people are transgender because they saw those GIFs that make you transgender, the sissy hypno GIFs.
I disagree.
Oh, no, that's a real thing. People have tried to use that on me. That's why one of the first things you should do is disable GIF autoplay.
That should be off anyway for one's sanity. However, sissy hypno is just a fad, Cybersmith. I do not believe it actually works. I think anyone that would watch it already likes that shit anyway. In fact, frankly, watching it,
really.
Exactly. Watching it is probably just the excuse to then say, oh, yeah, no, I wouldn't normally be into it, but someone tricked me into, or I ended up being hypnotized. But no, mate, you already like cock, especially under a skirt. The hypno video was just your excuse.
So I use precautions where I absorb it in small amounts, then listen to symphonic power metal to build up a resistance to it.
Yes, but what you're actually doing there, Cybersmith, what you're actually doing there is generating cope to allow you to watch sissy hypno porn because you like that shit.
Okay, good night, Uzulu. Enjoyed the rest of the stream. I'm sorry that the audio is so messed up today. I'm not sure why today the mic decided to do that, but yeah, good night.
Try listening back to the stream. You'll be able to tell.
Yeah, okay. Good night. I'm glad I was able to come in and comment on this. But no, I think this is an important issue, and yeah, do not unilaterally disarm. That is my message.
Thank you for your commentary, Cybersmith. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
I do think we agree on more than we disagree with.
Possibly.
Generally.
Possibly. But possibly not. Okay, well, that was fun.
Certainly.
It was.
Ooh, you should kiss men. Ooh, you should put on a skirt. Ooh. Do it now.
Careful, 8-Ball. They could get you.
Ooh, put on the maid outfit.
Oh, God. Woman will become real. Or sorry, woman, pardon me, will become a real woman. See, it's already happening. The GIF works.
Horrific.
Hello, HFNH. HFNH in chat greeted me as Druid today because people had put the thing up for that.
Oh yeah, you're a Druid now.
I have been funded into a Druid, yes.
Wow, Ghost, that's very rude. Quattro's right there.
Quattro, Ghost is accusing you of not being entertaining.
Oh, what a shame.
I'm accusing
what a
Uzo
rotten way
of
to
not being
die.
entertaining. That's why I pay him.
Are you hoping that paying me will make me more entertaining?
I'm hoping it'll fix your dog shit opinions, to be honest.
I see. I think you agree with a lot of what I say. What I say. You probably agree with more of what I say than of what Cybersmith says.
That is not true. I am actually pro Cybersmith and not pro you. I have decided just now.
You know, there is a strange correlation between when you became a patron and when the period of time in which Cybersmith sometimes comes on my stream. Because before he occasionally came on my stream, you weren't a patron at tier 10. But then after he started, you were a patron at tier 10. So I figure you're actually just contributing because of Cybersmith.
Exactly. He gives me the Cybersmith ussy that you don't.
See, there you go. I don't have any Cybersmith ussy to give.
You're the Canadian girlfriend. It all makes sense now.
Okay, let's get that to the top of the board, chat. 8-Ball, the Canadian GF.
You're his human pet.
Yeah, we can put a few variations,
know
chat.
My girlfriend, she goes to another country.
8-Ball, what is the current status of your Achilles tendon?
In danger, but safe.
Temporarily unsliced.
So, 8-Ball, how long have you been dating Cybersmith for?
Well, listen, Ted, it's not about how much we date, it's about how much he pays me to pretend we are.
Is that how you pay for Oozloo's subscriptions?
Yeah.
So I'm part Cybersmith funded.
Know it, but I'm actually he is my how you say donor, and I am Oozloo's sugar daddy.
Not sure I agree with this taxonomy.
And maybe that's only true as long as Discord Kitten stays predominantly on me. As soon as the Discord Kitten moves to someone else, the Sissy Hypno turns off.
Did someone trick you into watching Sissy Hypno, and that's how you got here?
No, actually.
You did it voluntarily, I see.
They tricked me into watching Wizard Hypno, and now I cast.
Fair enough.
It's worse.
I can think of
nuclear bombs.
I can think of worse things to be hypnotized by than Wizard Hypno.
Ooh, you want to cast spells? Ooh, you want to have a cool pet animal lizard? Ooh,
and I don't need to be convinced. I already do all that shit.
No,
so
to your audience directly.
Yes, I mean you are.
Wait, I am?
Look, a fat man. This is apparently Peter Giunter, CNN Politico grill discussion at the Republican National Convention. This is one of the Republicans who was in this chat. They're not. Is he even young? I mean, I guess young for Republicans historically has been like anyone under the age of 65. But apparently it's 15 to 40. Chat, are you noticing that this quote-unquote right-winger is fat and brown and old for a young Republican? Not that he can't have the beliefs, but he's not exactly a representative, is he? I wonder, actually. He's been invited on Politico. I wonder if he is the inside man.
Well, have you considered that maybe you need to ignore your lying eyes?
Oh, of course. I'm so sorry.
Maybe given his side, the inside man is inside of him.
Yeah. There's plenty of space.
You ever think about that?
But every time I need to respond to a DM, no one else wants to talk. But as soon as I want to express an opinion, suddenly... Anyway. The group chat member, there you go. See, exactly what I'm saying. Exactly what I'm saying. I start trying to talk about the actual thing and 8-Ball jumps in to interrupt. But I want to send one DM and suddenly dead silence.
You're welcome.
Thank you, 8-Ball. Anyway, I'm disappointed, actually. I thought you were going to try and interrupt. The group chat member spoke freely about the pressure to counter Trump to avoid being called a rhino. If you're worried about being called a rhino, you probably are a rhino, mate. Just put that out there. Mm-hmm. The love of Nazis within their party's right wing? No. And the president's alleged work to suppress documents related to wealthy financier Jeffrey Epstein's child sex crimes. You fucking hypocrites. What did the Democrats do about Jeffrey Epstein the whole time Biden was in office? They could have released the files as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right. And, they were cowering in fear. That's what they were doing, I believe.
Mm-hmm. We have another story later related to that, which we'll do after this one, actually. one I mentioned before the stream, about someone or some two skipping a certain something they probably shouldn't have. We'll get to that. Trump's too busy burning the Epstein files. Alex Dwyer, the chair of the Kansas Young Republicans, voting runners. Oh yeah, but let's try and tie them to Trump, shall we? Let's try and make it a problem about Trump, but let's also make sure that we're clear that they don't like Trump. Yeah, thank you, Politico. Who's doing who? Which angle is Politico taking today? Dwyer and Katie, which is not two names, it is one, declined to comment. Malino and Hendricks did not return requests for comment. Again, ignore this in articles. Often they send the request for comment and then publish the article with 0 seconds between. But some involved in the chat did respond publicly. Well, at least these guys had time. Oh, look, Giunta specifically responded, the one that has been on Politico. That's interesting. Claimed the release of the chat is part of a highly coordinated year-long character assassination led by Gavin Wax and the New York City Young Republican Club, an allusion to a once obscured internecine war that has now spilled out into the open. So what did I fucking say earlier? That it was probably some jilted relation and not an infiltration? Now, my other theory that it was an infiltration by this guy, I want to say a bit less likely, but distinctly possible. He's the one that's saying it, so maybe it's a bit of both. Yeah, I was right twice. Quote, these logs were sourced, both I suppose, by way of extortion and provided to Politico by the very same people conspiring against me, he said. What's most disheartening is that despite my unwavering support of President Trump since 2016, rogue members of his administration, including Gavin Wax, have participated in this conspiracy to ruin me publicly simply because I challenged them privately. Maybe. Again, it's distinctly possible. The current hope is that there was a court order preventing it for a concrete. Preventing what? Sorry, Ghost. I think that message was there for a minute or two.
The Epstein file release.
Oh yeah, no, that's possible as well, I suppose. Though I think if the whole thing was explained by that, then Trump really should have come out and just said it.
I meant when Biden was in office. That was that's the argument they're making.
Oh, that's the argument. Okay, all right. Maybe, I don't know. I doubt it. Either way, it should be released either way. Doesn't matter. If I were in government and I had this fucking Supreme Court saying you'll be ejected from office if you do this, I would leak it. But what? It wasn't me. It has to get out. Nothing else matters anywhere near as much. I mean, of a similar kind anyway. I mean, the survival of the nation does. Anyway, yes. There you go. Thank you once again, chat, for choosing that moment to have nothing to heckle with. Although, to be fair, someone did and I answered it. Okay, let's continue. Wax, a staffer in Trump's State Department, formerly led the New York Young Republican Club, a separate city-based group that is at odds with the state organization, the New York State Young Republicans. He declined to comment. Despite his allusions to infighting, Giunta still apologized. Quote, unfortunately, he apologized, said he's sorry to those offended by the insensitive and inexcusable language found within the more than 28,000 messages of a private group chat that I created during my campaign to lead the Young Republicans. He said, while I take complete responsibility, I have no way of verifying their accuracy and am deeply concerned that the message logs in question may have been deceptively doctored. Honestly, as I said earlier, I wouldn't be surprised, but we have no way of knowing either way. If you suspect they may have been doctored, why the fuck are you apologizing? Even if you don't, why the fuck are you apologizing? The only way is if this particular guy is a rhino, does not have high tea sensibilities of joking about anything, because there are more fucking important things in the world than getting pissed off about some jokes that mention offensive themes offensive to the left. There are infinite more important things than that. If he is of the mindset where he thinks that's a genuine problem, I don't want him to be a leader of right-wingers. I don't want him to be in a position of taking responsibility, and he becomes much more suspicious as an actual right-winger, that he may in fact have been a plant to make the right look weak alongside some doctored, potentially, screenshots as part of a large-scale op to defame the right and to start to try and split the rhinos and MAGA. Now, that sounds like a conspiracy theory. It is well in line with what the left would and has done, but it's not necessarily true. It's only one possibility. But I wouldn't be surprised.
The current media establishment is entirely geared up to be smear merchants and basically nothing else.
Yeah. All right, chat, now's your chance. I have to respond to a DM.
The way I see it, there is no point in the current media apparatus existing, considering the amount of damage that they do to, the good, hardworking people of the world. I say, fuck them, burn them.
But they serve as a foil that we can prop ourselves up through denigrating.
Yeah, but we already have the average shitlib for that.
Toast is bored of this topic. Chat, press 1 to move on to a new topic. Honestly, I think we have done it well enough. We probably could move on. And press 2 to keep talking about this topic. We could move on. Music says 2, fuck Toast. If you're going to fuck Toast, please don't do it while it's in the process of becoming Toast.
And also definitely don't do that in the bath.
Yeah, I mean, basically what we're saying here, and Sabbath, perhaps you would join me in making this statement, is there are potential safety concerns involved in fornicating with your toast or toaster.
Very much.
Okay, good. We're on the same page there then. It looks like it's pretty much a draw between move on and keep going. I'll keep going a little bit and then we'll move on. Maybe there's some more to this. At least one person in the Telegram chat works in the Trump admin, Michael Bartels, who, according to his LinkedIn account, serves as a senior advisor in the Office of General Counsel within the US Small Business Administration. Bartels did not have much to say in the chat, but he didn't offer any pushback against the offensive rhetoric in it either. Good! We found someone good that Trump has employed. He declined to comment. I hope that he would have nothing to say, and it's not just a matter of we didn't actually ask him, we kind of lied. The notarized affidavit signed by Bartels and obtained by Politico also sheds light on the intra-party rivalry that led to Restorea War Room? Telegram chat to be made public. That's a strange name. Bartels references Wax as well. He wrote that he did not give Politico the chat and that Wax demanded in a phone call that he provide the full chat log. Interesting. Quote, when I attempted to resist that demand after providing some of the requested information, Wax threatened my professional standing and raised the possibility of potential legal action related to an alleged breach of a non-disclosure agreement. Bartels claimed in the affidavit, our position within the New York Young Republican Club was directly threatened. Dude, Wax and Giunta, fire them both. I don't want them in the Republican Young Party, whatever the fuck it's called. I don't want them involved. They both sound like either traitors or useless cucks. Anyone who apologized over this?
Everywhere.
Anyone who apologized over this, make sure that they leave. Demote. This is a good bellwether. A sensible political movement does not need to care about this shit. This is
spineless politicians get demoted from level 3.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay,
as a treat.
I'm a spineless politician.
Hey, Bull, stop trying to get us to kill you. Stop trying to commit suicide by cabal.
Get me out of here. I can't take this shit no more, man.
Hey, Bull, you should play Stanley Parable if you haven't already. Do it on stream. That'd be funny to watch. You did?
Yeah, but not on stream.
God fucking damn it, Bull. Why didn't you consider me?
Why would I have sex with you?
That's not what I said. I didn't mention sex, 8-Ball. No, but it would have been fun to watch your first playthrough. It's not the same on the second playthrough, obviously, because it's largely about what you know.
Well, I kind of just played the entire game in like 2 hours while I was just shooting the shit with you retards, so...
You played it with us and you didn't even broadcast it. How could you?
Yeah, none of you even knew. We were busy talking about like something gay or something. I don't know.
God damn it, 8-Ball. Ruin everything.
It was probably because of the
all right, fuck it. Put up an enrollment proposal. Demote 8-Ball for playing Stanley Parable and not streaming it to Cabal. You finally given me a good enough reason, 8-Ball. Well done.
No, I'm going to put up a counter proposal to promote him to level 7 for doxing me that one time.
Chat, if being demoted from level 3 kills you in real life, what does being demoted from Exalted level 4 do, or Ascended level 6, There is no such thing as level 5. Don't ask about level 5. You'll be banned immediately.
Level 5 is
not that you'll be banned.
So if you're demoted from level 5 you become a moderator in real life.
There is no such thing as level 5. Ban
check
this man for mentioning.
Channel that you have access to, and I have access to.
What, OSHA violations?
No. The other one, the one that has a message in it.
All right. 8-Ball has put up a proposal to demote himself from level 3.
Yeah.
By the way, the I should put this in the charter, but the rule about leaking, usually, shall we say usually for now, but probably always, doesn't apply to stuff that you yourself wrote there.
Quattro, you cock.
The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away.
Yeah, no, you know what, Quattro?
Away. That's the problem.
You know, Quattro, that's a good argument. I don't think he should be demoted from level 3 either. I think he should keep it. I think he should enjoy life instead.
I crave absentia.
Chat, press 1 to force 8-Ball to enjoy life against his will.
Yeah, you still got a girl to ask out.
Yeah. Why haven't you done that yet? Don't give me the real answer. Just give me the apologize and then say that you'll do it. That's the only correct answer, 8-Ball.
I was busy that weekend, Duslu. We'll re-release it in theaters so that everyone can enjoy.
We were all busy that weekend. We'll re-release your Filipino girlfriend next time.
Wait, you have her?
Oh yeah, I've got her number. Why haven't you got her number?
Well, I have her number, but the problem is...
you do.
Yeah.
Listen, 8-Ball, do you really think that with the power of... well, that's a good point, actually, but let me finish. Do you really think that with the power of outreach, that I couldn't hack enough drywall and DDoS enough pets to obtain her number myself and ask her out myself? You have limited time, 8-Ball, before I decide I'm going to ask her out myself.
Have any pets or drywall?
Yeah, but there's a chain of connections that lead to her of people that do.
Yeah, but I'm in her walls. You can't come.
Do not come.
She is going to discover that is not true.
That's true. I'm in your balls.
The law is deepening. I think we need nachos in here so that she can understand the new law that at some point, because he wouldn't ask out the Filipino of his dreams, 8-Ball entered my testicles.
I was so real for that.
Still a better anime than Testicle.
The ultimate cut.
Oh, you mean Monster?
No, I mean Gintama.
Yeah. I could really go for Monster, actually.
I could go for both kinds of monster, actually. Let's do some more stories. I'm going to move on from this one. I think we've got the gist.
You have to step away for just a moment, though. I'll be
no
right back.
worries. You'll like this next story, though, so I'll stay on it until you get back. Chat, I mentioned earlier that a certain pair of political figures might have done something that, in retrospect, won't look good and might get them in trouble. I really fucking hope it gets them in trouble. I'm used to not really holding up hope for that particular ambition, but let's hope so in this case. Bill and Hillary Clinton skip testifying on the Epstein case. That's interesting. Now it gets worse. I won't include all the editorializing. Bill and Hillary Clinton were supposed to sit down with the House Oversight Committee and answer some long overdue questions about their connections to Jeffrey Epstein, but they didn't show up. Listen, when the US Congress asks you to come and answer some questions about a pedophile who everyone in the country knows that you were almost certainly involved with, and you just say, no, that doesn't look so great, does it? That doesn't look so great, does it?
We were all busy that day. Please re-release the Epstein files.
We were all busy with our new horde of child brokers, says Bill Clinton. And now nobody seems to know when they will, it says. Hillary was supposed to testify on October 9th. She skipped it. Bill was set to testify on October 14th. That got postponed too. The committee says it's working with the Clintons' attorney to accommodate their schedules, which is a polite way of saying the power couple is stalling. They The only things that they need to do is be in the right places at the right times to verify that they're not going to leak any of the corrupt edifice secrets, and to put on the books that they can receive the corrupt money that they earned while they were in office. These are assumptions, but I think fair ones. I don't believe they actually do anything. And the speeches they write to pick up exorbitant paychecks, which is, yes, chat, delayed corruption, very common tactic these days. They could write them with AI. It doesn't matter. The people that are hearing the speeches, I would guess, don't even listen to them. They just need to be there to verify the presence of everyone there so that they can officially put it on the books as a payment for that, even though it's not a payment for that at all. These depositions are part of a much larger inquiry into how the federal government fumbled the Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell cases. House Oversight, I mean, that's quite a nice way of putting it, to be honest. House Oversight Chairman James Comer issued subpoenas back in early August demanding answers about potential lapses in the Justice Department. Quote, everyone in America wants to know what went on in Epstein Island, and we've all heard reports that Bill Clinton was a frequent visitor there. So he's a prime suspect to be deposed by the House Oversight Committee. I'm glad that they're proceeding under those auspices and not just, hey, Bill, we heard that you might have known the guy. Could you give us some insight and we'll just take that as gospel? No, he is almost certainly guilty. From everything we've seen so far, we don't have strong evidence, but we have some pretty good weak evidence that he was in fact guilty of raping children regularly with Epstein. Comer called this the most challenging subpoena he's ever issued, which says something given his track record. What makes it, they say, even more interesting is that Democrats actually voted with Republicans to support it. It's interesting, actually. That doesn't happen every day. No, it doesn't. That is actually interesting. It may be that the Democrats the Clintons don't have quite the pull with the Democrats they used to. Bill Clinton has admitted to flying on Epstein's private jet multiple times, claiming it was all Clinton Foundation business. Yeah, but Clinton Foundation business often involved children, didn't it? And not in the nice way. There are flight logs, photographs, and plenty of documented connections. Maxwell herself told Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, I was obviously speaking Todd Howard there, that Bill was her friend, not Epstein's, and insisted he never visited the island. That's a curious distinction to make, and it raises more questions than it answers, they say. Reports suggest he flew on that plane far more often than he's publicly acknowledged. He's even been photographed getting a shoulder massage in a small Portuguese airport from one of Epstein's accusers. Hillary's ties to Epstein are less direct but still troubling. I believe it's mostly Bill, but Hillary, of course, is covering it up. Epstein made donations to the White House Historical Association during Bill's presidency. Maxwell attended Chelsea Clinton's wedding in 2010. Those aren't casual acquaintances. Those are the kinds of connections that suggest a much closer relationship than the Clintons have ever been willing to admit. I think you're right about that. All of that makes their stalling seem a bit suspicious to this author. So far, nobody is accusing the Clintons of criminal wrongdoing here. Well, I am. Or not directly, or not legally, but yeah, pretty much. That's not what this is about, they say. What the committee wants is clarity about how much time the Democrat power couple spent with Epstein and Maxwell, what they knew about Epstein's conduct, and why they maintained those relationships for as long as they did. Now, them skipping these meetings doesn't have to be because they're avoiding what they know would incriminate them. Having to say anything about it would either incriminate them as perjurers or pedophiles, most likely, right? It's not necessarily true that that's why they avoided it. However, it's like 99% for sure that they did. I say that only because it's a principled stance, and for other cases, we shouldn't just assume the most likely answer. But in this case, it's very likely to be true. I'm open to any thoughts as to how it might not be. And like, even these assumptions that we've made on things that are very likely to be true have occasionally been wrong, but generally speaking, we sort of get this kind of stuff right. I don't know. Welcome back, Quattro. I don't know exactly how much involvement Bill and Hillary had with Epstein, but I think it's fair to say, and Quattro, perhaps you'd give your opinion, that Bill has raped many women that Epstein has provided him.
Oh, 100%.
And Hillary knew and covered it up.
Yeah, she's the accomplice for sure.
Yeah. When it comes to actual assassinations, for some reason, I think Hillary is more likely the culprit there. Just pure sense of the thing. I don't know, but I don't know. What do you think, chat? I do get the impression that like Hillary is the one that protects Bill's evil proclivities by killing those who would speak out against them.
That seems more like her MO, yeah.
Malak? Who's Malak, Wormon? Bill's friend, not Hillary's. Shady coroner man. I don't know that story, actually. I may have missed that one.
He did a lot of very suspect autopsies.
I see.
And came out of retirement, I believe, for Epstein's case.
That is a bit suspicious, isn't it?
If I recall correctly now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure he also did the second George Floyd autopsy.
That's interesting. I wouldn't be surprised. Different guys as Wormon. I mean, like, it's not like there couldn't be more than one autopsy fixer, if that's what they are. Fair questions. What the public deserves, honest answers. The American people have just been asking these questions for years, and they're not going away just because the Clintons find the timing inconvenient. The subpoenas are still active, so the depositions will happen eventually. But every delay, every rescheduling, every negotiation with their attorney just makes it look like they have something to hide. I agree. Malak has a long list of crimes. He even has what amounts to a lobbying group against him personally. That's interesting. In the end, the Clintons have a choice: show up and tell the truth, or keep postponing and let everyone draw their own conclusions. To be honest, they're probably smart not to show up, because everyone's already drawing these conclusions anyway. If they do show up, as I said earlier, they're either going to be found to be perjurers or pedophiles. If they don't show up...
Often both.
Often both. If they don't show up, nothing much changes until someone decides, okay, fine, arrest them. Which I hope someone does, but unfortunately, their reputation precedes them, and it's not super likely. It's possible, but not super likely. Things can change, chat, but this one might not. It's not one of the more likely things to change, unfortunately. I really hope they don't get away with it. Yeah, there you go. That is that story. Yeah, extremely fucking suspicious. But unfortunately, that is probably their smartest play. It's good that someone's calling them in, though. That at least indicates something might change, but we need a lot more. All right. There's quite a lot of other stories. We didn't get to almost any of the other news stories I have. Shall we try to speed through the articles? This is. I need to sort this out. I need to do this properly, because I put loads of content that was sort of heavy content in the quote-unquote meme section, and then we went through that and commented when I didn't have all the information in front of me, just the memes. It was okay, but I need to organize that better, put the data together, and then just put things for the quick and light stream content that really is just quick and light. Because I'm still thinking of it as news and memes, which is really not the right way of thinking of it. Anyway, I'll try and sort that out next time. And then, of course, we have 4 people talking over the memes, and then only just 2 for the actual news part. But yeah, let's try and get through some stories quickly here, chat. This is all stuff I have open since last stream, so some of this is a few days old. Trump's H-1B reforms are having an effect. Good. TCS, Tata Consultancy Services, one of the worst Indian body shops and a glorified visa mill, they say, have announced they are no longer hiring H-1Bs. However, it looks like companies are going to switch to L1 visas instead. I had never even heard of these. But I guess we have a new target. This is kind of what I'm saying about when you, in bad times like this, you become aware of where the major problems are. Okay, so we found H-1B as a major source of a problem. We shut it off. Trump actually did something with that. Good. Now, it lights up a new light on the board because they're using it. So we get to see where it is. So we get to fix it. If not for that, we might not have known about it. I wouldn't have known about it. So there are good things about a time where great injustice is being done, but we start to regain power because then we know what to hit, because we know what has been exploited before. Hopefully Trump does the same thing with L1 visas, if that's appropriate. L1 visas allow a corporation to obtain a visa for foreign employees employed in their branches in other countries, which is a little different than H1B, but this wouldn't work if not for the kind of globalization that we've had, where essentially slave labor from the third and arguably second world is used to offset the cost of running a business. Putting a branch in India, yeah, you get shit in your fabs, but you get cheap labor. When you don't need quality results, you just need human-generated results, Indian and Chinese workers may seem tempting. Of course, it screws up the economy of the nations that actually benefit from the companies that should be based in, or the people that buy it for the most part. It just flows money to other places, and those places have utterly shitty standards that we should not be endorsing, tantamount to slavery, which the modern left is well and truly in bed with, despite their proclamations about slavery being bad. What the right's trying to do with tariffs is essentially, we ended slavery already, don't make us do it again. But yeah, this exploit would not be possible if not for that kind of globalization. So Trump's that's actually a good point. Even if Trump does nothing about this, I suspect he will actually, but even if he does nothing about it, the existing tariffs should help with this. Because running your business in multiple countries is something that already Trump is trying to discourage. So that should already help, but the biggest companies will still be able to do this. Quattro, you're a famous appreciator of the Indian. What do you think of this?
Well, you see, sir, it is all about the amount of scams per second that you can commit.
True. They may not have the grip strength, but they do have the scam strength. And that's something we must be aware of.
There's too much redeeming going on.
True. L1 visas have no cap on God, no wage restrictions, and information about the number of them granted every year is not published. Trump, take some reforms. I think some reforms are a good idea here. Quote, they say, we cannot allow these companies to continue to grift off America by exploiting immigration loopholes. No more H-1Bs, no more L1s, and DEI. Deport every Indian. Very good.
None of that.
They've found a way to make you support DEI.
You know what? I can get behind that.
Yep. All right. Well, I hate to be so provocative in my language, and I don't mean this racially, actually, but when you get rid of one den of roaches and then you find them still emerging, you find where they're now coming from, and you destroy that den of roaches too. Whatever routes are being used to get into the US, where it's actually not a good idea for the US and the people don't want it, find them and stop them. Hug says L1 are transfers within company locations, so Google can bring in slaves from Google India. Indeed, and that I think is almost just as bad as the straight up just labor shortage H1Bs, because that's what they're supposed to be for, labor shortages. But the US, as far as we know, as far as we can tell, does not have a labor shortage. It has a competency crisis.
Oh no, what it has is an HR epidemic.
That's also true. Yes. It just has an extremely unhealthy economy, and all of the things that we talk about regularly, HR exactly being one of them, the poor hiring stuff we were talking about earlier as well, poor culture within companies' ideological requirements, ESG all over the place, uncompetitive markets with monopolies, government intervention in markets where it shouldn't be, and of course foreign meddling, all these factors and more. You fix these, you don't have to worry about this or really anything else. And a lot of those problems, not all of them, but a lot of them are quite easy to fix as well. I wonder if you could just make ESG illegal. Maybe not. Maybe you couldn't do that in principle, like across the board. Maybe you couldn't say that you are not allowed to impose standards for taking bank loans. But maybe there is some way of doing it. Not sure.
Well, for one, you can rein in the investment bankers like BlackRock quite easily with a few RICO cases. Because their entire criminal empires would crumble if that were to happen. Even if it's only temporarily.
I don't know much about RICO. How would that work? I have heard of it. I've forgotten what it is.
Well, it's for racketeering mainly, which is what the R stands for. Which they are most certainly doing here with the investment banking. But this would also then give the U.S. government full justification and also the legal right to just start seizing their assets and going through everything. Which the US needs the cash flow. The investment bankers don't provide much of anything of benefit to the average person. All they exist to do is prop up failing companies now that they have deliberately funded so that they run themselves into the ground.
JPEG,
ultimately,
that's a good way of doing it, JPEG, actually. Yeah, you can force the standard of a loan actually being monetarily profitable. And that would combat any bubbles like the housing bubble as well, because that was all about unprofitable loans that weren't going to be paid back, I think.
Oh, that's certainly a good part of it. But with RICO law, it would mean that everything in terms of action against them is on the table. It's kind of required at this point in order to really clamp down on the amount of financial crime going on. I don't really see any alternative to it.
Fair enough. I think I don't know enough details to say how that would go exactly. But the charge of racketeering probably applies.
Oh, it most definitely does by definition. And given the amount of financial control they have over just about every industry, it's kind of inarguable. So ultimately, it is not only the only, but the best recourse as well.
Good. Let's do that. Moving on.
I mean, it's what the law was made to do.
Yeah.
And also to go after, guess what? Mafias, which they operate like.
All right. Continuing. Pam Bondi announces shutdown of anti-ICE social media page, but how many more are there? I would support this only if they are actually inciting violence or doing things like doxing with the intent to do violence. If it's merely speech, I don't support it. Let's find out. And she does not have a good record on free speech, does she?
No.
Peace may well have come to the Middle East, but some things right here in the US, they say, are still causing turmoil. The anti-ICE, anti-border control, open borders left are still indulging in threats and intimidation against federal and, yes, local law enforcement, they say. What's more, they are taking to social media to coordinate their efforts to identify and threaten ICE officers and other federal officials involved in President Trump's immigration crackdown. On Tuesday, Pam Bondi announced that one social media outlet, Facebook, had taken down a group page that was being used to dox ICE agents. Yeah, in that case, I can support that. Especially because it's not just doxing, it's doxing with intent to at least physically intimidate, if not potentially be violent too. So I'm okay with that being taken down. Today following Outreach were involved. From Justice Department, Facebook removed a large group page that was being used to dox and target ICE agents in Chicago. The wave of violence against ICE has been driven by online apps and social media campaigns designed to put ICE officers at risk. There is more to the tweet. Taking down one page like this isn't going to make a big difference. It'll help a little bit if it's like the main hub, but there's demand for this, so it's going to continue. Doesn't mean you shouldn't do anything, of course, but it means that you're going to have to go a long way to really stop this or to reduce it a lot. You're going to have to ban a lot of sites, or a lot of groups. And again, I don't support that unless they're doing something that directly incites or leads to violence, like doxing. She says, social media campaigns designed to put ICE officers at risk just for doing their jobs. The Department of Justice will continue engaging tech companies to eliminate platforms. And that's eliminate entire platforms, not necessarily, but I think I know what she means. Platforms within platforms, where radicals can incite imminent violence against federal law enforcement. Yeah, I can't help but agree with that. As Andy Nago says, they will immediately open up other accounts and start again. These are highly motivated, open border, anti-US government extremists. That's what I'm saying. This does help. It's not like it doesn't do anything, but it's certainly not the end of the journey. There's a lot more to do. Right. Good. Overall, though, good. Yep. I believe that is about it. Hard to see this as anything but an attempt to intimidate and intimidate and or threaten in the cause of a political agenda. Remember, even if it's a private channel that they try and keep the government out of, they still have to recruit to bring people into that channel. So the government frustrating them like this is good, but it obviously won't solve the problem on its own. There'll still be some of it. People who put up, maintain, and join these anti-ice toxin groups can surely be identified. It says how many of them have been identified, arrested, indicted, prosecuted. Probably that should also be done. Again, not merely for being in the group or speaking or expressing opinions, but specifically for doxing or inciting violence. That number would appear to be near 0, it says, and this appears to be a violation of the law they mention, protections of individuals performing certain official duties. Okay, so the law is restricting information about a covered person or an immediate family member of the covered person publicly available with the intent to threaten, intimidate, or incite the commission of it. So this is actually a doxing rule about federal employees. Tenth knowledge that restricted person, personal information will be used to threaten, blah, 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 shall be fine. Yeah, so it is illegal, by the looks of it, to dox with the intent to intimidate or be violent against. So yeah, apply that. Says this will continue until some ringleaders are identified, arrested, and prosecuted. The consequences of this have to be enough to deter the behavior. Clearly now they aren't. These kinds of groups will continue until some of the organizers are prosecuted and jailed. French phrase. Can't help but agree, actually. What do you reckon, Quattro?
I'm also inclined to agree. I mean, if they've got laws on the books to deal with this, might as well use it.
Yep.
It's clearly a problem.
Apologies, chat. All right, continuing. Next story. Military coup is taking place in Madagascar.
Oh, yeah, I did hear a little bit about that.
For those of you that thought Madagascar was just lemurs, almost. Almost. Let's have a quick look. Madagascar coup. African Union suspends Madagascar as military leader set to be sworn in as president. Ooh, it's a junta.
Oh, there's another thing that Madagascar has. Thanks to the Grand Tour, we know this. It has some of the most shocking, quote-unquote, roads of anywhere on the planet next to Toronto.
Army assumed power after Parliament voted to impeach Andrei Rajoelina following widespread protests. Why do these names sound Spanish? Madagascar Spanish? I mean, obviously it's black.
Colonized by the Spaniards.
That would make sense then. Black and Spanish. What a fantastic combination. Madagascar's new military ruler will be sworn in as the country's president on Friday, the military said on Wednesday. Which one of these manlets is it? I guess the middle one. As the African Union suspended the island nation after a coup that ousted President Andrei Rajoelina. The Indian Ocean nation has been plunged into its worst political upheaval in years after the elite Capsat army unit assumed power on Tuesday, moments after Parliament voted to impeach Rajoelina, who appeared to have fled the country as street protests escalated. Interesting. I wonder what the unrest was from. Have the globalists even tried it on in Madagascar, or is this just standard black people activity?
It's a regular occurrence in Africa.
It becomes the latest.
French.
It becomes the latest form of French colony. I did think it was French, actually. To fall, maybe it was both at different times. To fall under military control since 2020 after coups in Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, Gabon, and Guinea. I know it's Guinea. Guinea is funnier. Capsat commander Colonel Michael Randrianirina. Randrianirina. God, that's a lot of parts there. Confirmed this president by the top court said on Wednesday that the transition to civilian leadership would take under 2 years and include the restructuring of major institutions. Well, sometimes a nation is in such dire straits that it does need a radical reordering, but often those in charge do not give up power. Quote, it wasn't a coup, it was a case of taking responsibility because the country was on the brink of collapse, he said. I mean, that would still be a coup, it would just be a justified one, and perhaps it was. Having pledged elections in 18 to 24 months and told local media that consultations were underway to appoint a prime minister and form a new government. Well, if they don't do elections, I don't think there's much of anyone going to be around to tell them no if they have the military, but they might not at that point. I think chat will open up contributions for Encore. I have loads more stories that we can go through. but I'll end relatively soon, and I'll probably try and con Quattro and Womon into watching some more Monster. If no one would like to contribute for an encore. Contributions are greatly appreciated, and they do help keep the community going. People have been much more generous with Subscribe Star in the last month or two. Unfortunately, it is still on its own not enough to fund the entire venture. Thank you in advance for any contributions you give, and do notify me if you give one by any means, and I will grant you the Cabal credit that you can then use to influence the board, which, as you've already seen, has been able to do stuff. By the way, there was a meme earlier about, it says something along the lines of women when they're too old to be Discord kitten, so they get called AOL Cougar. And I think we could do with having AOL Cougar as a role that we can assign to anyone we feel like. A-Ball loves this idea because he gets a new role, but I like this idea.
By virtue of being level 10?
Well, probably.
It's just free?
Probably. Well, I'll probably put it on the same list as the other joke roles.
Is it a second place prize? How does this work exactly?
Well, currently Discord Kitten is not assigned by the Cabal Aid, but AOL Cougar could be. The reason Discord Kitten, by the way, still isn't assigned by Cabal Aid is because it has historically had an automatic connection to people's contributions, and I still have not set that up for the new system yet, so I don't feel it's right to transition over to the new system until I set up the automation for that. So the old TP board is still used for that. Once I set up the automated... Thank you. Once I set up the automated credit, then I will put Discord Kitten on the leaders, the Cabal Aid system as well. You can already check on /leaders, if you use filter Discord Kitten, it's already on there. It doesn't apply from here yet, but this is who would be Discord Kitten, 8-bit again, if not for the fact that it's not assigned by the leaders, by the Cabal Aid board. I love how Mahias for Kitten is on there. Someone has slightly misspelled that.
You tried.
They sure did. But yeah, once I set that up properly, that will be how Kitten is determined. But then we can do Cougar or AOL Cougar or something as a separate role. Because I don't know if you noticed, chat, but we have quite a few women in Cabal who are, shall we say, not in their 20s. And that might be entertaining. I was thinking, actually, we'd call the role AOL Cougar, in brackets, Hag Maxi. Because hag maxing is what you're doing when you're with a hag, but then what do you call the hag involved in hag maxing? Hag maxi.
For what it's worth, Uslu, you're in your mid-30s now. Those women are your peers.
I'm not in my mid-30s. I'm still in my early 30s. Even after my birthday, which is soon, I will still be in my early 30s. AOL Cougar Die has started making its way up the board. Di, however, is not actually in her 30s, so she's one of the only ones that you can't apply that to.
I mean, she may be by the next time she returns. We never know.
Maybe.
Like Di will show
so she's
up
in her 40s.
Just in time. Sorry, I accidentally drank my monster too fast.
So you were talking about the drink and not the show. I'd like to congratulate.
Do you not talk about Monster?
Yeah, I might get some when we finish the stream. AOL Cougar Nachos has also begun moving up the board. Vil, you're the third 38-year-old woman active in Cabal. Fucking Nachos and
you're the original, so
Nerd Wonder are both 38. Do you know which other? Do you know which other woman was also 38 last time I checked?
Nerd.
Wes.
Oh
yeah.
Right.
Give him the role as just a little treat.
Good job, 8-Ball.
Shut up.
Sir, support AOL Cougar Nainsko.
Brilliant.
We have in serious problem.
We sure do, even in serious problem. Well, the AOL Cougar idea is certainly popular. There are now several people in the running. AOL Cougar Die is in the lead by quite a long way, with Nachos behind. Oh no, actually, AOL Cougar Nianchos is now in second. AOL Cougar Nice as opposed to Discord Kitten. AOL Cougar Nianchos is now in 50th. AOL Cougar Wes has started moving its way up the board.
Well, I got to do my part.
Number 116.
Wes is still in the server, by the way. I will absolutely give him the AOL Cougar role if you manage to get him to number one.
If he ever looks into live chat, he can see this.
Yeah, of course he can. Not even to number one, actually. If I can do a custom filter here. So if I do, I'll just do Cougar for now. That's the current state of all the Cougars. Wes is now in. Well, Wes would be Cougar right now. I'll probably add the Cougar role after stream, maybe while we're watching Monster, and I'll give it to Wes. Oh, I'll give it to him. Liberal AOL Cougar Aiden. That must only just fit. That must be 24 characters. So close, Phil. Give it to Wes. It's been supported. Which one of you was that? I could find out.
Do you even need to ask?
I suppose not. Give it to Wes no matter who wins. If you want it given to Wes, then make sure he wins. Or loses, depending on how you think of it.
Yeah, let's get Wes to number one here, huh?
I mean, if you get him to number one, I will rename him.
No matter who wins, we all lose.
Oh no, I've been put up.
It is necessary.
I've been put on notice. Oh, that just jumped a massive bit up the board. I wonder who could have done that.
I wonder who could have done that. AOL Cougar Wes is now in 7th. I'm glad I put these notifications on. Makes it so much more active.
Oh,
Cougar Wes is now in 3rd.
Let's go.
We can just post the public board now. He's right there at the top. There's still quite a large gap between him and liberal Fujoshi Aiden.
you gotta
hey, check this shit.
For the top 2, 8-ball.
I think Womon is about to not be in 1st. 8-ball has flipped to denouncing liberal Fujoshi Aiden, which is now way further down the board. However, Womon is still in 1st. Oh, there it is. Yep.
Hey, check this shit.
I believe that's Wes.
And there we go.
Now defined. You must change his name.
Yep. That's why 11. It's your lucky day, AOL Cougar.
Oh God. Imagine getting that ping. Like you haven't been involved in the server at all and you just get a random ping.
He loves the attention, though.
Yeah,
he probably has the
he loves
music
being in the spotlight.
I mean, I'm
But
sorry,
does he
he's the
have
wrong
pings from
pronoun.
you muted?
Yeah, we gotta get it to fucking Hall of Fame.
Oh God. You're welcome for that.
Remember, the score in Hall of Fame is based on not the number of reacts, but the number of people who react. Actually, the number of total reacts does add to it, but much less. So if you want to get to the Hall of Fame, you need more people, not more reactions. More reactions helps a bit, but not anywhere near as much. I think that's already going into Hall of Fame, though. I don't think there's any way of avoiding that. And that should... If my...
it even spells out WAP.
If I've understood my own system correctly, that should be in Hall of Fame in exactly 4 minutes.
Sorry, Vril. You're simply not the AOL Cougar.
Hmm.
You don't qualify.
It was too funny to give it to Wes, and so the people who actually should qualify as AOL Cougar haven't got it. Fucking, Nomon has already renamed himself back. He was eager to not be known as Womon.
Behold, Mon of Woe.
Quite.
Oozlu.
Yes, Abel.
What was his current status on the kitten board?
What do you mean?
Has anyone named him Kitten? Or
Specifically Kitten? No. You, on the TP board, are currently at 89 quid. Or just under.
Chat, grant me some of your Cabal credit, or not credit, the actual Uza coins, and we will grant him a second special roll.
I mean,
a second kittening has hit the WAP.
Look, there is something that we could do here that would be quite funny. If you look in the /leaders and then go to the filters, most, if not all, of those filters refer to a joke roll that you can assign. You could give Wes Cult Bicycle, Snow Bunny, Mpreg Arc, and AOL Cougar at the same time, and Discord Kitten through the old TP system.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Okay, Jackie, how many more is required for Uzlu? With that 8,000 there, how many more is required?
Remember that 2 people have to support it for at least 100 coins for it to appear on the board at all. Wes pregged.
So
you're welcome.
So, Uzlu, with Jackie's there, how many is required?
I think 890. Maybe a tiny bit more. So do 900 to be sure, or 890 like 5 to be sure. Like that. I can check exactly. Yep, that's done it. Where's his now Discord Kitten? Let's go ahead and give him the roll. I don't have to remove it from anyone. Actually, yeah, I do have to remove it from someone. 8-Ball, I'm going to remove Discord Kitten from you because you're no longer Discord Kitten.
That's fine. I'm going to reapply it.
I thought so.
We need to denounce Dicycle to get Wes up there.
I think this is definitely a worthwhile project.
All right.
Definitely.
So I am
that was
Discord Kitten.
Yep. He's got Discord Kitten again.
And he should also now be called Bicycle.
The level 2 mafia that totally doesn't exist sends its regards, Wes.
Yep, where's his now Cult Bicycle as well?
What was the next one?
I was before that?
No, Dicycle was.
No, yeah.
No.
I think.
But, no, look, number 76 is 8-Ball.
Yes, but Dicycle was at the top of the Cabal Bicycle, Cult Bicycle leaderboard before someone denounced.
Fitting that level 2 Mafia 404s.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, level 2 Mafia not found. Oh, somebody ruined the joke. How could you?
Oh, and he's the only one on the Snow Bunny board.
Oh, is he? I added that filter and I guess I just never mentioned it and no one ever voted for it. He is. All right, let's just give him more rolls.
Real.
Okay, so where's Y11? Okay, we could also give him the curse, by the way.
Okay. What is the curse currently named?
Sovereign Citizen.
Sovereign Citizen.
In that case, that is quite tempting.
All right, Snow Bunny has been applied to Wes. And where is Cult Bicycle from here? There it is. I need to take off die as well.
I'm so glad.
I imagine we're going to hear about this in the coming days.
Wes Empreg is currently third on the Empreg arc.
Nice,
Board.
good. Keep it coming, lads.
To get it up a bit. Remove Pregged Ronald, though.
Well, hold on. Leaders, F, Empreg. No, Wes Empreg is number 103.
No, on the filtered Empreg board.
Yeah, on filtered Empreg, it's number 103. Unless you misspelled Empreg.
He is second he's second for Empreg.
Oh, yeah, it's second on the board, but it's the...
Oh, right, because of JPreg. Right, I forgot about the pregs, the normal ones.
Technically, JPreg or JPEG should currently be called J... Well, not called JPreg, actually, but he should have the... on his Empreg arc roll. Yeah, that'll probably do it.
So, now I guess he has the Empreg also.
He is not.
He did it, Cabal.
You were unpregnant.
Wes Empreg is number 1.
Congratulations. Yeah, congratulations, JPEG. We've just miscarriaged your baby.
Is this loss?
Many of these on his arc.
All right. And where is on their Empreg arc?
It's somewhere on my rolls.
It's near the top, I think. There it is. Okay, Wes is now on his Empreg arc. Congratulations to Wes. I always knew who wore the trousers in that relationship.
I knew he had it in him.
What, Mel's sperm? JPEG says...
You can't just say that about his boy wife.
JPEG says, I still didn't get to participate in a complete end tower to lose the E again.
Okay, but what happens if he loses the G?
Phil ruined it. Chat, do you want to give JPEG another chance by starting a new end tower?
Uh-oh, mud hut forming.
Phil, stop. You're not allowed to form a mud hut. She might delete her first message, actually. Not sure if we allow that.
But we'll know.
Wait, you can't double stack? You can't do, like, 2 of the letters yourself in a row?
That's what we're saying. That's what a mud hut is.
Ah. So what do you lose for a mud hut?
Your life?
Demotion from level 3.
Shit.
I will now make a mud hut.
A mud hut, is that like the gay version of a cream pie?
No, it's the black version.
No.
I have now forced you to think about that, Triple.
Damn it.
I'm honestly surprised. I'm honestly surprised you weren't laughing at the black comments.
Well, Triple, you're welcome. I'm surprised you hadn't thought of that before, you know, given that you've told us how much yaoi you like.
Quick, Kat, name 3 yaoi.
JPEG, you missed
Yowie
it.
1, Yowie 2, and Yowie 3.
Damn, she really does know yaoi.
Exactly why I don't invite you to my birthday party anymore.
Also because 9/11 was a cover-up of it.
That's true. That's true. Cybersmith, I'm very sad that he understood about Big Mother, you know? He was just trying to communicate.
Yep. All right, chat. No one has contributed for an encore, though your Uzicon contributions are appreciated. I'll tell you, I didn't specify it had to be real money. I'll do a bit more, and then we'll end. But I will go on for longer, chat. I'll go on for significantly longer if anyone has another contribution. And here are some links. I will ruin the tower for it. I mean, you just finished the tower anyway.
Completed the tower.
Yep.
No, hold on. Now you have to spell retard.
I'm going to skip a few stories here and try and find a really interesting one to end on. Because we probably are going to end.
Very YouTube friendly, this stream.
There are some interesting ones here that we will cover. Yeah. There's people are talking about new footage. Okay, that's not new footage. That's just something that someone linked. It's old footage. What's this? Yeah. Okay. So do you remember, I won't play it again now, but do you remember the footage from last year where Nancy Pelosi was in her car on Jan 6th and was admitting that she was responsible for Jan 6th, that it was her fault?
Oh,
Which
yeah.
I was surprised that she was admitting, but she did. Well, recently this happened. I haven't seen this yet.
Congresswoman Pelosi, are you at all concerned that the new January 6th committee will find you liable for that day? Are you at all concerned about the new January 6th committee finding you liable for that day? Why did you refuse the National Guard on January 6th?
Shut up. I did not refuse the National Guard. The president didn't send it. Why are you coming here with Republican talking points as if you're a serious journalist?
The American people want to know. We still have questions. Thank you.
I mean, bullying
Congresswoman.
journalists is
I said the K
F1
first. Ghost.
Chat is so distracted by the various towers they're building. They're not even paying attention to this angry old woman. You actually made her snap. You made her snap, which is, you know, strong for a journalist. And look at the journalist as well. Now that is factory. That is like that's gold binned conservative blonde woman factory printed. Am I wrong?
Very true.
Either way.
Yeah, she was definitely produced en masse.
But Pelosi here, I don't know if there's any truth to what she's saying. I suspect there isn't. I believe Trump had every intention of sending the National Guard. But she certainly seemed to be taking responsibility in this video. I'll play this, actually.
We have responsibility, Terry. We did not have any accountability for what was going on there, and we should have. This is ridiculous. You're going to ask me in the middle of the thing when they've already breached the inaugural stuff that should we call the Capitol Police? I mean, the National Guard? Why weren't the National Guard there to begin with?
You were in charge of the security, you stupid wench. You could have done this. You could have put more local security there or anything. You didn't. You knew it was going to happen as well. It was planned for a long time. But of course, now we know that there were, 270 FBI agents embedded in the crowd? What's interesting about this footage, and what I find very interesting about it, is that it implies that Pelosi did not know that. Unless this footage was staged, but it doesn't look like it, does it? I don't think she's that good an actor. So it was created by the FBI and pounced upon by politicians, and Pelosi had no idea of the conspiracy and still failed, an unforced failure to secure the area. So yeah, incompetence and malice all around from the left.
They thought that they had sufficient.
No,
there's not a question of how they have. They don't know. They clearly didn't know, and I take responsibility for not having them just prepare for more.
You don't generally expect a politician to say those words, do you? Quattro, how many times have you heard a politician honestly say that they take responsibility for something that went wrong?
About never.
About never, yes. Maybe once or twice, but about never is the correct answer. And yet here she is, candid camera, taking responsibility. Now, she can change her mind, but she could also flip-flop in public. That said, the fact that she got so angry at the reporter implies, but certainly doesn't demonstrate, that she honestly believes what she says here.
Are you coming here with Republican?
6.
Shut up. I did not refuse the National Guard. The president didn't send it. Why are you coming here?
There, so that claim, the ferocity implies she believes it, which seems to be at odds with the footage. Maybe she's changed her mind, but maybe she just has.
Old and grumpy with dementia.
Yeah, she might either just have separate positions for public and private, or indeed, as Ted says, she has lost something. Her marbles, perhaps. Angry at being confronted with the truth, says Vil, quite possibly. Right, I think we'll end there. Oh no, we'll end with this story. Hook-handed terror imam fights toilet jihad in prison. Chat, press 1 to not read this article. Described by its author as the most disgusting article I ever had to write. Press 1 to not read it. No one's pressing 1. Okay, in we go.
I guess so.
You idiot. You thought you would fail. You thought you'd be going home tonight to your family.
Oh my god, it contains a trigger warning, chat. Extensive and unfortunately necessary descriptions of Islamic toilet practices. Chat, you can stop me at any time. Let's say that it's a reverse encore. You can pay 20 quid for me to stop reading this article at any time. We'll move on to a different one. How many Islamic toilets is a Muslim terrorist entitled to? At least 2, apparently. There's a ruling, that's the ruling by a US federal judge in the long-running saga of a UK Muslim terror imam locked up in a Colorado prison who called for murdering non-Muslims and wants those same non-Muslims to tend to the purity of his nether regions so he can properly pray to Allah. And so begins the most disgusting article this author ever had to write. In both the moral sense of how far backwards we bend over to cater to Muslim terrorists who hate us, and on a grosser physical level. The current toilet jihad began with a real jihad that claimed at least 4 lives, it says. In 2007, after 3 years of legal wrangling, Imam Abu Hamza, an Egyptian Muslim cleric who headed a notorious UK terrorist mosque, was finally deported to the US. With the occasional eye patch and a hook for a hand, a souvenir of his time working for the Pakistani military, the piratical-looking cleric had preached terror at his Finsbury Park mosque, and his tawdry life and terror threats had long been a staple of British tabloid coverage. Hamza's involvement in the 1988 kidnapping of British tourists in Yemen, 4 of whom were killed by an Al-Qaeda affiliate. The cleric explained that taking hostages was a good thing in Islam. His mosque, which had attracted such terror figures as the 20th hijacker and the shoe bomber, his defenses of Al-Qaeda, Bin Laden is a good guy, everyone likes him in the Muslim world, claimed that 9/11 was done in self-defense, and a declaration that the person who hinders Allah's rule, this man must be eliminated, had made him the UK's most notorious imam. By the time the US asked for him, you still have a chance to avoid, chat, the feculent part of this story. What are these reactions?
Yeah,
how dare you?
That's wild. Anyways.
All right, well, apparently 8ball's into it.
This sounds really funny.
Hamza's lawyers, however, spent 3 years dragging out the case in the UK, claiming that sending him to America would violate his human rights. Honestly understandable, but this guy doesn't deserve them. In 2015, after 8 more years of legal wrangling in federal courts, Hamza was sentenced to several life sentences on charges of providing support to Al-Qaeda and the Taliban, hostage-taking, and as the judge put it, being barbaric. But Abu Hamza was just getting started. After 11 years of lawfare and extraditions across 3 countries and continents, Abu Hamza had a lot of free time in prison, and he spent it waging lawfare against the US. Abu Hamza, now calling himself by his legal name of Mustafa Kamal Mustafa, of course, because you need that twice, filed lawsuits accusing the prison system of violating the First Amendment by denying him halal food. I don't believe that's a violation of the First Amendment. Participation in group Islamic prayers, communications with his son, unclear if it's the one who was stripped of UK citizenship after becoming a jihadist in Syria, the one who was convicted of money laundering, the one who stole a laptop through a kitchen window, or any other sons. The terror imam also claimed that his faith requires him to be provided with an electric toothbrush, a hairbrush, and prompt toenail clipping services at taxpayer expense. I disagree with you. Quote, mostly though, Abu Hamza, aka Mustafa Kamal Mustafa, was obsessed with the toilet. Muslims have detailed toilet protocols that Sharia requires them to follow. They must step into the bathroom with their left foot first, because that obviously matters. They may not have their backs to Mecca when they defecate. Men may not urinate while standing up. Wow, I didn't know that, actually. No fucking wonder they're all effeminate retards. Muslims are required to wash their private parts with water after urinating or defecating. Muslim men may then have a specific prescribed process for removing the remaining urine to ensure that they are clean to pray to Allah. At any moment, chat, you could stop this. At any moment. Ideally, the less we know about all this, the better. Unfortunately, having Muslim terrorists in prison, and specifically a Muslim terrorist with a hook for a hand and a lawyer on speed dial, and a lot of time in which to sue America, means that we have to deal with the toilet jihad. 1 moment, chat.
Are you renaming Chase, Uzulu?
No, but that's not a bad idea. I've noticed that anyone that wants this to stop has probably just left the channel. Yeah, that's a good point. Oh no, Ghost, they figured me out.
But I don't want to read this out, said Uzlu. Lol, Lamau, said the chat.
Well, how about if we change the deal? I'll do a couple more paragraphs, unless someone contributes for me to continue. You might miss the best bit. You never know, chat. Those of you that have stuck around this long, either you're desperately waiting for me to finish so that we can go and watch Monster, or you're into it. How much for the JF voice? It is 25 quid per topic with reasonable length adjustments if the topic is short, for me to do a voice that I can do easily. We're already partway through this one, so if you do send 25 quid, I'll do another short story afterwards in that voice. The links are just scroll up a bit. So, I am planning, by the way, a modification to the Cabal Aid system whereby I can add essentially an impulse to the board. So if you were to push JF voice up the board, and then I did JF voice, I could then add a negative £25 to JF voice, and then have a threshold it has to reach in order to make it happen. So basically I could knock it back down when I've done it, and then you can knock it back up to make it happen again. Thank you, 8-Ball Toilet Jihadist, who says, finish the story, Kufar. That's enough for a bit more. It's not quite the 20, but thank you for the contribution. Vil says $25. It's £25, I think, per full story in a custom voice. And the JF voice and the pirate voice are the only ones I'm currently making available, because they're the only ones I can do reflexively. You just reread. Okay, well, if you send me 25 quid and ask me to do this for the JF voice, I can just do the story from the beginning in the JF voice, yes. Well, while you decide, I'm going to modify this page a bit. So we want to get rid of this, I think, and the thing below it. Oh, there's a... And they've really made this quite complicated to get rid of. Okay, well, that's that one. So if we add on to this element... Oh, that gets rid of that. That's not the whole thing. The way they've built this is very strange. Okay, I won't do it that way then. I will do it a different way. I shall use the power of uBlock Origin. Start with that one. And then we will also do that one. I mean, that's okay. All right. Send certain words. Vil, if you send in dollars, it will convert to squid automatically. You just go to tip.uzlu.net. You would need to do the conversion yourself, or I'll do it actually. 25 GBP TUS. That's 33.6 USD. Right. Okay, well, I'll continue for now, but I can start again in the JF voice if you like, for the price stated. Okay, so it continues. What's at stake here? And feel free to skip this entire paragraph, it says. So this one's going to be great, I'm sure. The website of the Grand Ayatollah of Iraq describes it as the following, quote, "The middle finger of the left hand is slid 3 times from the anus up to the scrotum. Then the thumb is placed on the penis, and we just lost another one. And the forefinger is placed under the penis, and the thumb and forefinger are pulled 3 times along the penis up to the point of circumcision. Finally, the end of the penis is pressed 3 times. That's fucking cringe."
Very autistic.
Hold on. So you're dragging it through your crack and then up your cock? And then pressing it into the end of your penis? Do they want STIs? Well, not necessarily STIs, just diseases, infections in the peen. Shitcocks, exactly. That's horrible, says Phil. It sure is. And you're not even equipped to know how horrible it is. It's not about hygiene in the medical sense, they say, but a religious practice from Sharia law. How many YouTube viewers have we dropped since this has been going on? Not many, actually. All of this is serious business for a devout Muslim like Abu Hamza, because while he believes 9/11 and taking hostages are good things, he is mindful of Muhammad's warning that most of the punishment of the grave will be because of urine. While Hamza feels no guilt over the deaths of Ruth Williamson, Dr. Peter Rowe, Margaret Whitehouse, and Andrew Thirsk in Yemen, he believes that if he prays while there's urine still inside his organ, he will burn forever in Islamic hell without getting his 72 virgins. Questions as to why the cleric thinks hell would be more concerned with his bodily fluids than his role in the murder of a 34-year-old Scottish nurse are best addressed to the Islamic religion. Well, they'd be proud of that because it was a non-Muslim. Back when Abu Hamza was locked up in the UK, Mr. Mufasa had someone to help him. Colorado Supermax Prison, unlike Belmarsh in the UK, does not provide any inmates with personal attendants for the purposes of washing them after using the toilet. I don't know why the British one does. Because that would place a substantial burden on ADX staff or require additional staff at a substantial expense to the Bureau of Prisons. Why on earth he couldn't do it himself, I don't know. Why on earth he couldn't just kill himself, I don't know. How Islamophobic, so Abu Hamza sued. According to Abu Hamza's lawsuits and complaints, Islamic law and the First Amendment entitle him to having someone properly clean him after using the toilet, essential for my 5 prayers daily. It is not essential, and you're not entitled to it. Impressed you're keeping a straight face for reading this. This is important stuff, John Wick. We've got to take it seriously, as you will know.
That face that he has is not straight.
Okay, what if I do this? The prison already went to the trouble of outfitting his 2 cells with showers with multiple shower heads, including a lower shower head, and allowed the terrorist imam to run the water as long as he likes, but that wasn't good enough. Nothing turned out to be good enough. How did that look? Did that work? Was that sufficiently South Park Canadian? I don't know if any of you are still watching the screen.
I don't know about that, eh?
Oh, table snacks, codeless.
The prison tried accommodating his amoral but bodily waste-obsessed belief system by giving him a brush. Hamza claimed that the brush was ineffective at achieving his spiritual goals of not being tormented by Satan in the afterlife for achieving less than totally clean nether parts. Good night, Ghost. Abu Hamza demanded a bidet. The prison argued that it does not provide bidets to anyone regardless of religion, so it's not discriminating against Islam. It's just worried about items that can be used as weapons. Finally, it gave in and requested funds to install a bidet. Because American taxpayers are paying for every last bit of this, including the lawsuits. But much like Hamas and every Islamic terrorist group, having gotten what he wanted, Abu Hamza denied that he ever wanted it and demanded more. Even though there's documentary evidence of him saying that a bidet was enough, he denied ever agreeing to that and demanded new prosthetics, despite apparently sabotaging several attempts to fit him with a new hook. The bottom line is that Hamza would like attendants to help him complete ritual washing. Yeah, he's just going for anything he can get, including humiliating the locals. I am glad that the American prison people are not doing it. I don't know if anyone in the British prison was. The article implied they were, but I have never heard of that being the case. Maybe specifically a Muslim.
So, now, I think there's a more pressing question here. Why the hell isn't he already being executed?
Honestly, by US standards, I'm kind of surprised he hasn't been, yeah. Or at least on death row. I mean, yeah, I think, though I don't like the idea of governments having power to kill people, I also don't like the idea of prisoners having the power to frustrate normal procedures to this extent. There maybe should be some sort of limits on the amount of lawfare they can do. Perhaps something like no appeals. But I know that would be, that sometimes that's going to be really bad. Yeah. Having someone on standby several times a day to clean him up to Islamic standards each time he uses the bathroom, not because he actually needs it for hygiene purposes, but because the same religion that made him murderous demands it. And why can't he do it himself? Or just die? A federal judge agreed to consider whether defendants have substantially burdened the exercise of Mr. Mustafa's religion by limiting him to use a bidet to clean himself. He's not limited to use a bidet. As far as I've heard, he's able to use a bidet or a normal toilet. That same judge ruled that Mr. Mustafa has demonstrated that forcing him to be housed in a cell where he lacks a means of ritually cleaning himself places a substantial burden on the exercise of his religion, and that the prison must install a bidet in both of Hamza's prison cells, not just one. If you've already gone to the point of giving him a bidet, especially if he said that's good enough, why did you have 2 cells for one thing, but just put it in both? But don't do either. Just reject every request from this guy. Only 2 Muslim toilets will do for now, it says, and then it's only a matter of time until another judge rules that the taxpayers must pay for an attendant to clean Abu Hamza before he prays to Allah for their cruel deaths, or it's a burden on the exercise of his religion.
Better yet, I just don't recognize Islam as a religion. It's not valid.
Maybe.
Never was. Never will be.
Maybe. I mean, you could...
It would fix a lot of problems.
You could adjust the First Amendment to specifically... I mean, it literally says church and state, I believe, in the wording of the First Amendment. You could certainly make the argument that that is only Christianity. Other religions are lucky if they're even allowed by the standards of the Constitution.
I mean, honestly, this shouldn't be at this point.
Well, it would directly solve a lot of problems, at least in the short term.
And long term.
Well, I would not be particularly happy if they were to say, yes, atheism, that's a religion, or at least it's a competitor to Christianity. I think
it's the absence of.
Yeah, but if they're going to start saying that other religions get deportees, then they might start saying that about, at the very least, anyone who is not like 3rd generation American and isn't Christian, maybe there. Yeah, my whole 3rd generation idea, I think it would solve quite a lot of problems to implement something like that. Of course, there's difficulty in knowing for sure, but it would at least rule out people who haven't had the time for a sort of a more deep integration. I mean, even 3 generations is not really enough for that, but it's a lot better. Even there are some people who integrate well in the 1st generation, and there are some lineages that won't integrate within 10 generations in the worst circumstances. Taxpayers attendant religious accommodation won't be reached until the prison not only provides new prosthetics for Abu Hamza, but one strong enough to let him behead infidels, it says. Meanwhile, 6 figures have likely been spent on legal battles involving Abu Hamza's toilet jihad. All of this could have been averted by following another traditional Islamic practice, the death penalty, this author says. And this is certainly a pretty good argument for it, where you know for sure multiple countries know for sure that he is guilty of mass killing and that he will do it again. And whilst in prison, he's doing everything he can to still attack the nations in question, costing loads of money, using their own principles against them. Frankly, that's not an argument against principles, because I don't think the principles apply to him. Either way, this is a good argument for the death penalty. Still have my reservations, of course.
The thing is, you know for a fact that he will commit again.
Oh, yeah.
Because Islam.
Yes, he absolutely would.
That's all the proof that you need is, what's his belief system? Oh, the thing that incentivized it in the first place, and he's completely unrepentant about it? Yeah, no, fuck it.
When the
entire ideology at that point, because it's inherently incompatible with civilization, let alone the West.
When the recidivism likelihood is 100%, it's certainly a lot easier to argue that they should be killed. But of course, you got to be able to trust that assessment.
I mean, if they've already killed that many, I think it's kind of hard to argue against it.
This is certainly a good case for it, yes. I think that'll be the end of the stream now, chat. I would disagree with that, Nomon, but this guy is not going to integrate, and lots of other Muslims aren't. Honestly, I would say that the ideology is more the impediment to integration than the race. But both have a part. Anyway, that'll be the end of the stream for now, chat. I will return soon. For now, I hope you will join me in Pit 1, and then shortly after that, we'll probably go and watch some anime or something. I'm probably going to make myself something to eat while we do. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Quattro.
Anytime.
Thank you earlier, Aiden and Cybersmith. I will see you all soon. Good night.